When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. My eyes, they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
Madam President Hilary Clinton in 2024. I'm excited. How about you all? We'll talk about it. And those voting for her in these sterling examples of democracy, illustrated in a recent Fox headline, vast majority at Baltimore High School read at elementary level and some even at the kindergarten level. Well, we'll take a little peek at that as well. Go free lesson of the day. Anti-Whiteism in private industry and associations, maturing socio-politically, anger, defense, etc. is a virtue when it protects the innocent. Your calls and comments, and of course, happy Valentine's Day. And this just in the news. Prominent anti-white and Democrat politician found naked and dead in a pig's pen, apparently mauled to death by the caged behemoth, affectionately known as Big Bertha. Investigators are baffled by the fact that the politician's clothing was found outside of the pig's pen, neatly folded.
What do you think is necessary to do to unite all white nationalist groups, even though that have near irreconcilable differences? P.S. Vincent is a top Chad. I think the question shouldn't be what needs to be done to unite all nationalist groups, but the first question should be which nationalist groups would you want to unite?
I don't think it's time to unite. I think that the best path forward is sort of a decentralized, almost like unorganized clusters all around the world, all around the country here in America, that are amassing power in their locations until it's time to unite.
I'll jump in quickly on the idea of groups coming together into a single group, because that's an important subject. And I really think that, maybe at some point we we all need to join under a single flag. I don't know exactly what flag that might be, but we should consider. I'm kidding.
Single. Okay. Got it.
I actually perfectly agree with Vince on that.
You've been very base tonight, Jason, but it's not quite time for that flag just yet. I think the audience will have warmed to you more this evening. I'm not sure our audience is ready for you to quite go that far.
Hey. They said I wouldn't pass the interview, so I decided to be the boss. It is 5 in Washington, D.C., 7 in Sydney, 10 in London, and after midnight in Moscow, and we are going free. A happy Valentine's Day to every single one of you. Happy Valentine's Day to our dear Carlisle Cockatoo. And ready to get underway, folks. Everything seems to be up and running. Although Cash App is not working online. So if somebody can let me know whether or not that platform is functioning for them, I'm very interested to find out. Please help me keep an eye on the microphone tonight because it's still trying to go out with the electricity that I seem to throw from time to time. All of the platforms seem to be up and working. And there's Archangel right there saying their answer. It is Archangel. I don't know why sometimes that looks like an S to me. Says their answer is division and abstraction. I know why guilt. The correct answer is truly to unite under the love of who we are for white well-being. Amen to that, good brother. A great champion in service to white well-being. So wonderful to be with all of you today. Let's see if I can touch this. And there it went. Make sure you tag me. And how is the audio? Is it good this time instead of it being weird like it was the beginning of the other show? Yeah, I don't know. It's the electricity, I guess. We'll keep an eye. Maybe I can try to move it around during the gathering tonight. But tag me on any of these platforms. There's no white guilt, and I will get to your questions or comments. Or you can jump over to Entropy, where you can jump into the question widget, Tall Kevin widget. And you can put your comment or question in there, and it won't disappear unless you or I delete it. You may financially gift over there on Entropy as well. All financial gifts are read over the course of the gathering. I may have to change the wording a little bit to protect the channel, but that is the way things are. When the ear is against the door, the ear is against the door. You may also financially gift, I think, at Cash App, which is not coming up on the internet, for me at least. Please let me know if you all are having the same issue for Cash App on the internet rather than just as an app on your phone. I will keep an eye on Cash App as well for any financial gifts. And again, all financial gifts are read. You may also financially gift over on Odyssey over the course of the stream. That's at 15%, just like Entropy is, as I understand. And I will read those as well. You can do so with your financial gifts there in American currency, US dollars, or you can financially gift there in their cryptocurrency, their library tokens, I think they're called. And it does appear that Entropy is up and running fine. And in just one moment, we will be getting to our first story of the day. And of course, that is Hilary Clinton, 2024, Madam President. Are you ready for that, ladies and gentlemen? She's talking about it. So is the Democrat machine. They're running out of people. So they're going to have to go to the Wax Museum and roll them out. And of course, those people will be much more intelligent and animated than the real things, especially that senile old fool that lives in a White House in Washington, D.C. But of course, I'm not talking about Joe Biden, who is as brilliant and sharp as any corpse you'll come across. So where are we? Let's see. Oh, if you have a desire to financially gift with a cryptocurrency, you may do so at nowhyguilt.org, nowhyguilt.org. and you will find there a financial gifts tab. Click on that tab. You'll see the wallet addresses there. You'll also see a snail mail address at which you can snail mail me. And I love to open up the mailbag, and we have something in there today from Sabatino. And wonderful. Looks like the great Franklin is here with us. He was number one, I think, today as we were getting ready to roll. Azimuth Clark is with us. Great to see you. Great to see you. Third Rail says, please come on my podcast. I will take a look. I still have to take a look at one of your shows. Let's see. For Knowles says it's good. The audio is good. So we're not having that same issue that we were starting off with the audio being, I guess, hollow or distant or whatever it was. Nancy Drew is here. Great to see you. Big Toe Terriers. Hello to you. Rick as well. And Patrick of Southtown. Iraq Syndrome. Great to see you. Who else is here? Mr. Fookers and Piers Taylor. Wonderful. Biospirit of the West is with us. Great to see you. He was in there quick with the sound not working. Thank you very much for that. So is for Null and Azimuth Clark. Bass guitarist as well. Great to see you. And thank you for that. Jay says the mic is good. Yonash says ahoy. You see, the deal is that Yonash is always on a ship. And we love to have you, brother. It's great to see you. Lady of Ireland as well. Hello to you and great to see you. Thank you so much. Hey, look at that. Nathaniel is here. Great to see you, brother. And a great champion in service to White Wellbeing as well. Diamond Dust. That's what we are, ladies and gentlemen. Love it. And great to see you. What a wonderful name. There's the true champion and just doing marvelous things. I guarantee clips. These clips will go to politicians and power brokers of various spheres. No white guilt clips, doing wonderful things for our people. Jack Ruby is here. In fact, Jack Ruby, I think, asked a question before we were rolling a little earlier. And I will go back and see. I jotted a note to myself to see what exactly that was. In fact, maybe I have that here and I can answer it really quickly. What was it? It was Europhobia, asking instead of using anti-white, use Europhobia. And the answer is no. Europhobia, quite honestly, sounds, I know what you're trying to do, and that's wonderful. Thank you for trying different things out and seeing how they work on the population around you. And so I salute you for that. That's magnificent. And we should all be actively employing the lexicon and dialectics and then reporting back with the success or failure of how those things are applied in the real world. But Europhobia sounds a bit like you're afraid of a uroscopy, which of course is when you have a physical and you have your urine checked. And so that's just what it sounds like on the surface. It also restricts, we've talked about this before, to just Europeans, and white people can be considered European descended Westmen, men, women, and children, Western kind, but it doesn't automatically encapsulate all white people. Especially in the United States and in Canada, European means white people in Europe. And to an increasing degree, it means any race of people from the continent of Europe. Chad is with us. What is this? Real something. I'll have to put my glasses on, believe it or not. The great Yiz the Unifier is with us. And William, wonderful to see you. Fit and healthy at any age. Yes, indeed. And great to see you, brother. Dude, bro, Moment is with us. Great to see you as well. And Based and Red Pilled says, we'll be looking out for all the anti-white commercials while he watches the Super Bowl tonight. And that is, of course, sports ball's biggest game, where a bunch of primarily non-white athletes crash into each other at high speed, very athletic gentlemen, and then a bunch of white people pour hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, they shower hundreds of millions of dollars on people playing a game for a living. And then they teach their daughters and sons to idolize these guys. Great idea. Let's jump on over. Jonas says, probably won't stay the whole show since it's late, but I really enjoy being here. Thanks. Pearl Lady, hello to you. And Jay Link. Whoa! The great Jared George is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a big raucous round of emojis for when a superstar walks in the room like the great Jared George. Great to see you, brother. And there's the one and only Elaine Sabatino. And we'll be looking at some mail from you. Great to see you. And so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump into the news. I think everything is working okay, but please stay on top of me when it comes to the microphone and the sound, because it does want to keep going out. And we're trying to figure out that problem, trying to touch metal and make sure that I'm not throwing electric. Does look like Cash App is still malfunctioning online, but we will keep an eye on the app and see if anything happens there over the course. If you do financially gift on Cash App, let us know in the live chat, at least until we realize or we're able to confirm that Cash App is functioning and I'm getting the alerts and I can read what it is that you write me when you financially gift by way of that magnificent platform. Yes, that is a giant heart around yours truly. And these roses, like last Valentine's Day, are just absolutely beautifully aromatic. Their perfume is wafting about the room. I'm practically intoxicated with it. They are, what are they called? They're called something spice, the name they gave them, but it's for the red that is mixed in. I don't know if you can really see, but there is red on the edges of the petals. It's really quite lovely. This time of year, every flower goes up by like 500%. So these were the best of the cheapest, if that makes sense. Let's jump on over to, I'll take a quick look at this story because I know people want to know. On the Wall Street Journal, we're going to be talking about an opinion piece. Who wrote this opinion piece? Big picture here of Hillary, I soiled my diapers, Clinton. And it says here, Hillary Clinton's 2024 election comeback. She's coming back, ladies and gentlemen. They got a dolly, and they're going to be rolling her in. It says here that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have become unpopular. It may be time for a change candidate. A change candidate? Change your diapers candidate. It must be time for a change your diapers candidate. Could you imagine being in such a state? Your party is in such a state that you have to roll out this. What is she, like 120 or something? Of course, that's just a joke. You'll have to. She's probably a firm 40. But check it out for yourselves. I'm not sure. I'm just doing stand up. This is by Douglas Schoen and Andrew Stein. Schoenenstein is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Schoenenstein is telling us about it. So your party is in some rough shape when your change agent is 80 something. How old is she? Does anybody know exactly how old she is? A perfect storm in the Democrat Party is making a once unfathomable scenario plausible. I think I want to raise the mic and let's see. Watch, it'll go. No, it's still working. Believe it or not. Somebody will have to help me figure this out. So I can hide behind it if I want to do a funny face while I'm talking about these wonderful Schoenenstein authors here who I'm sure are perfectly impartial. A political comeback for Hillary Clinton 2024. Don't you just hear like that Star Wars music and you see like the Death Star move into view? The comeback of Hillary Clinton. As Hillary is not much different than Darth Vader, I think. Well, that's, not my opinion. I think she's wonderful. Several circumstances. President Biden's low approval. Well, that's, come on. That's an understatement of the year. Talk about a euphemism. His low approval rating. He's in the 30s. President Biden's low approval rating. Doubts over, although I better be careful because the moment that I say this, it might be in the 30s. But if tomorrow it inches up to 40%, then it'll be fake news. So check it out at whatever moment you watch to see exactly what his approval rating is. And what exactly is the question here for the approval rating? Like, would you trust him to feed your cat while you're away? Well, if I had a cat, I would definitely put him in charge because I would want to come back to it gone. But if you loved your pussy cat, then you would not put Joe in charge because he's so busy doing quantum physics. Joe Biden's low approval rating, doubts over his capacity to run for re-election at a sprightly 82 years of age. What's wrong with that? Come on. Vice President Kamala Harris, unpopularity and the absence of another strong Democrat to lead the ticket in 2024. It sounds like they're talking about like inebriated horse races, have created a leadership vacuum in the party, which Mrs. Clinton viably could fill. You know this thing about using viably? Does anybody actually know this? This became corporate speak, and then most things that become corporate speak are immediately taken up by politicos because they feel smart by using corporate speak, and that's corporate speak. People feel smart by using corporate speak, and really all it is to make things as ambiguous and inane as possible, so that by being ambiguous, you're thought to be esoteric and have secret knowledge, and therefore are so very bright. As we come to the bottom of the hour, starting off the gathering today with a lot of good music and a funny video. But in reality, no. And so viable means capable of living. And now it's been used so much to mean that it's actionable or workable, or so many different possibilities here that you kind of almost have to use it. As Schonenstein. Does that sound like a monster from a B movie? Schonenstein. It's Schonenstein's monster. She is already in an advantageous position to become the 2024 Democrat nominee, which automatically means, of course, president. She is an experienced national figure who is younger than Mr. Can you imagine touting her youth as a qualifier? She's so young and vivacious. She is an experienced. Oh, let me check. Okay, the mic is still working. She's so young and vivacious. The skin just hangs on her like a 20-year handbag. She's experienced and young, younger than Biden even. Who I think they carbon date. I think that's how they roughly come to his age, and can offer a different approach from the disorganized and unpopular one the party is currently taking. Whoa. I tell you, if Schonenstein are going this hard on Biden and Harris, then maybe that means it's the end of the road for those puppets. If Democrats lose control of Congress in 2022, Mrs. Clinton can use the party's loss as a basis to run for president again, enabling her to claim the title of, oh my God, seriously? I thought that was I was kidding. What did they say up here? They called it a change candidate in the headline. Let me go back down. They're actually touting her as a change candidate. Every time the screen does that little flicker, it makes me wonder, did I go silent? Did I go mute? Have the Democrats, the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats, cut my tongue out here? Maybe so. We're going to stay on top of it. So they're actually calling her the change candidate. It is the change her diapers candidate, Hilary Clinton. I really think they're going to have to drop this subline. Could you imagine the change candidate? It's too easy. The change, you know, she has some sort of a weird sling on at all hours of the day, just to keep her guts inside of her. The change her diaper, change her Huggies candidate. And nothing's coming out of Joe. He's not been alive for a long time. Based on her latest public actually, no, you better check that out. Check with CNN. I don't want to be accused of disseminating false information. He might be living. Based on her latest public statements, of course, I'm doing jokes. This is stand-up comedy. based on her latest public statements, which consisted mostly of drooling, it's clear that Mrs. Clinton, it's clear that Don Corleone Clinton not only recognizes her position as a potential front runner, but also, I just had the funniest vision in my head of a foot race with Hillary in the front. I mean, could you imagine how bad the rest of the pack looks? Some of them, like 4 or 5 back, they're just like bones and skin with a couple of turkey vultures pecking at it. Her position as a potential front runner, but also is setting up a process to help her decide whether or not to run for president again. You mean just to accept the title, Madam President? Because that's what will happen. She recently warned of the electoral consequences in the 2022 midterms if the Democrat Party continues to align itself with its progressive wing, and urged Democrats to reject far left positions that isolate key segments of the electorate. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, in reality speak, what's happening here is that the Democrats, these anti-whites who call themselves Democrats, are becoming increasingly aware that they are going to need, they're going to continue to need some portion of the white vote in order to continue winning offices. And this pedal to the metal anti-whiteism, white erase the white people from everything. All white people are evil. You can only be good if you're white, if you hate the white race and you're reproducing non-white children and you are every single day of your life active in destroying Western civilization and Western kind. That's the only way you can be good. Well, there are a lot of white people who call themselves Democrats who are not necessarily that anti-white, and they say that's kind of a crazy thing. Maybe these folks that have been, maybe like this Jason guy, the name is Boss, by the way. Maybe this Jason guy is right on. Maybe we should start listening to him. And so they're taking these polls internally for the Democrat Party, and they're finding, whoa, we're losing quite a lot of white people. And of course, to remedy that, they want to just give the vote to like every iguana or, what boomerang, whatever it is that they can say voted. And but that still is probably not going to be enough. So Hillary's they're gonna bring her, they're gonna trot her forward and leaving a puddle behind, and she will come forward and say something to placate the white Democrat voters, something to say that, no, we won't liquidate you today, not today, and then win another election, or at least make a stolen election look real. And I'm not saying that any elections are stolen in the United States. Democracy is just the most beautiful thing in the world, and wars should be waged everywhere to bring this wonderful form of government everywhere, so that those who communicate to the masses, the media, the 5 guys who own it all, they can continue deciding what everybody knows about candidates. I think it's a beautiful thing, personally. Let's continue. Why does the Wall Street Journal continue to try to hit me up for payments? I'm never paying you. Just understand this, Wall Street Journal. Let's continue. The change candidate. In a recent MS, and you notice, of course, the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats on their website, at least this is the way it was in the past. They had like, if you're a Democrat, and then if you're a Democrat and you are Puerto Rican, if you're a Democrat and you're Latino, if you're a Democrat and you're Black, if you're Democrat and you're Jewish, if you're Democrat, and they just leave out white people. Why do any white people? I mean, it absolutely baffles the mind that they absolutely must not read anything that the Democrats say, write, send up in smoke signals, because it's all about hating you, Whitey. It's all about it. In a recent MSNBC poll interview, Mrs. Clinton called on Democrats to engage in, quote, careful thinking about what wins elections, and not just, actually, I should probably do it more like Don Corleone. Careful thinking about winning elections, and not just in deep blue states where Democrats and a liberal Democrat, a so-called progressive Democrat, is going to win. Why didn't you come to me first? She also noted that the party's House majority comes from people who win in much more difficult districts. Mrs. Clinton also took a veiled jab at the Biden. Was she being a little bit a cultural appropriative there of Muslims? A veiled jab at the Biden administration and congressional Democrats in an effort to create distance. Quote, it means nothing if we don't have a Congress that will get things done. And we don't have a White House that, this is from Mrs. Bitter. You can really taste that, can't you? And everything she says, it is bitter. It is bitter. I bet she'll carry a pitchfork while she's president. They don't have a White House that we can count on to be sane and sober. Is she suggesting that they're alcoholics? And stable and productive? That they should be stabled? Even Bill Clinton, no, he's not still alive, is he? Does anybody know? Is Bill still alive? Even Bill Clinton recently set the stage for his wife's potential. How much do you want to bet, before I read on, that he's going to say something like, she'll be better than I was? It's so pathetic. White males, my God, it's so pathetic. They all just throw themselves like prostrate on the floor before women. Give me a break. Let's see. Of course, he is. I can't do the impersonation. I don't do a good Bill Clinton. Maybe I could practice it. But he does right now, while he's saying this, have a woman's probably like a, I don't know, an intern's nipple in his mouth. Recently set the stage for his wife's potential 2024 candidacy, referring to her in an interview with People magazine as, and that's hard-hitting journalism, by the way, as, quote, the most qualified person to run for office in my lifetime, including me. Oh my God. It was close. I was close. Adding that not electing her in 2016 was one of those profound mistakes you'll ever make. They'll get around to you. Just they'll get around to you. We can infer, based on these recent remarks, that Mrs. Clinton would seize the opportunity to run for president again if an opening presented itself. But what are the odds that an opportunity will arise? I don't just ask the folks in charge. The Democrats' domestic agenda is in disarray, given the failure of Mr. Biden's Build Back Better plan in Congress. What a joke. And of course, by Build Back Better, they meant destroy everything. Senate Democrats' latest desperate push to repeal the legislative filibuster to pass their secondary legislative priority, voting rights reform, which of course means that all iguanas and boomerangs get to vote Democrat, will likely weaken their agenda further. Or these people just can't keep their agenda together, or their diapers dry. Mr. Biden's overall approval rating is low. Yeah, I'd say low. It's in the 30s. It's in the 30s. Well, it's last in the 30s. Who knows what it is when you look at it? Make sure you get the accurate numbers from CNN, where the CEO just had to flee to a place deep in the woods, back under the bridge where he came from. Is desperately low, his ratings. And as is his ratings on the issues including the economy and jobs and taxes and government spending, according to and everything else. According to a recent Economist YouGov poll, nearly 2/3 of independent voters disapprove of the doddering old fool. I wish that's what Schoenstein had written. Barring a major course correction, a major course correction, like 180 degrees. We can anticipate that some Democrats will lose important House and Senate races in 2022, in part for the reasons Mrs. Clinton identified, giving Republicans control of both chambers of Congress, at which point the Republicans will promptly tuck their heads between their ankles and wait for those in power to do to them what they want. Polls generally show the ankle-grabbing GOP with a solid lead of at least 2 or 3 points. That's solid. In the 2022, it says generic. I am, because of the whole age thing, I saw geriatric congressional vote. A margin that likely would be enough to take back the House, giving the narrow Democrat majority and the anticipated outcomes of redistricting in several, given the narrow Democrat majority and the anticipated outcomes of redistricting in several states that could affect key races. Yeah, you just look at the districts, and if you want to know how crooked the system is, just look at how things are districted. They should be like squares. I mean, if it was fair and people were just approaching governance in a way where everybody is going to have a fair, who gets elected, they get a fair chance, or they have a fair chance to get elected, or whatever. It'd be like squares everywhere. Instead, these things look like they're created by, like psychotic children, handicapped children on bath salts, and just like scribbled both hands and mouth all over the map. And of course, that is Hillary Clinton's favorite pastime. Not true. I made that up. It's much worse. Let's see. Given the likelihood that Democrats will lose control of Congress in 2022, we anticipate that Mrs. Clinton will begin shortly after the midterms to position herself as an experienced. That's another euphemism. Experienced candidate. It's more like fingers clawing the soil as she goes into the grave. Candidate capable of leading Democrats on a new and more successful path. As she rides that little golf cart that you see so many seniors in. Follow me. Mrs. Clinton can spend the time between now and midterms doing what the Clinton administration did, murdering people, or after the Democrats' blowout defeat in the 1994 midterms, crafting a moderate agenda on both domestic and foreign policy. Schonenstein is absolutely working on getting hired at vaudeville. This agenda could show that Mrs. Clinton is the only credible alternative to Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris and the entire Democrat Party establishment. Hillary Clinton remains ambitious in her late 70s, outspoken and convinced that what does really ambitious mean? That she's like clinching as hard as possible so she doesn't have another accident? Outspoken and convinced that if not for the Federal Bureau of Investigation Director James Comey's investigation and Russian interference, that she would have won the election. Oh my God. This is evidence of a parallel universe because wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. That kind of surprised me. You would think they would stop talking about that at this point. If Democrats want a fighting chance to win, they must put forward a candidate who wears Huggies in 2024. Mrs. Clinton is likely their best option. Well, and that is the Wall Street Journal, folks. And of course, they get to decide, or someone does. Here are the people at 46 minutes after the hour, and we're going to move right along here. Here are the people that are going to be voting. And this is what makes democracy so beautiful, because this number of people, they continue to climb. And it's been this way for a long time. And you've often wondered, as I asked myself when I was 11 years old, if you give people who have a intelligence and maturity level that goes no nowhere beyond, say, 11 years of age or 13 years of age, if you give those people the right to vote, and they are a significant sum, they wouldn't have to be more than half, they wouldn't have to be a third, they would just be a significant thumb, then those who have power could very easily manipulate all of those people to vote for them. And then they only have to get a tiny bit more from the next tier, not even the, bright folks, but just the next tier. And I thought, wow, that's really kind of a sham. But here we go. Fox News. And of course, we know that everything that comes from Fox is fake. And everything that comes from, and I don't like Fox, in all honesty. They are anti-white bastards that pretend to be your friends. Vast majority, they lead you down dead-end alleys at the last minute. It's like riding in the back of the Uber, and you're rocketing down the highway, and some guy who was the week earlier driving on another continent, evading human traffickers or something like this. He's rocketing down the highway, and the last minute realizes he has to take the exit. So he spins the wheel over, and you kind of drift sideways, and you slide to the other side of the back seat, and then he acts like that's perfectly normal. That's what Fox News does for you. That's what the Republicans do for you. They're like, hey, we're going to the promised land. And then at the last minute, it's like, and you're just off the corner, and you're like, wait, what? This is about, like, every child has a chance? What the are you talking about? Vast majority at Baltimore High School read at elementary level, some kindergarten. Only 12 Patterson High School students, under 2%, were reportedly reading at grade level. I don't even believe that. Do you remember when all those teachers in Georgia got caught? It was in Atlanta, that shining city on a hill, nirvana, to which we all aspire, where they were caught just like handing out the test scores because the teachers, or the test answers because the teachers got higher payment when the students did really well. At Patterson High School in Baltimore, 77% of students tested at an elementary school reading level at the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year. They will be voting for Mrs. Clinton. A teacher at the high school, which has please don't bother me with it, but they might not be 18. They don't have to be from Earth. A teacher at the high school, which has a 61% graduation rate. Isn't that funny? They're just passing them all, baby. This is what I said before. Just go ahead and staple that doctorate to the birth certificate. Let's just dispense with all this Bravo Sierra in between. Okay, a 61% graduation rate and a nearly $12 million budget. Holy, $12 million? No, I thought this was all about money. Wait, you've heard the meme pathogen, right? You've heard the meme pathogen. It's just that they need more money. The white schools are the ones who've got all the money, right? Well, see, here's where we go right, and good, conservative, nationalist, patriotic, Republican people go wrong because they end up following the Republican, conservative content creators, etc. Don't do that anymore, please. We don't have a lot of time left. They would begin talking just about the payments and about how the Democrats are failing all of these poor non-white kids who, as we know, all of whom would go on to be quantum physicists and astrophysicists and brain surgeons, and some of them actually will. But according to the narrative, all of them will. And it's because the Democrats are failing them. And don't you know a mind is a terrible thing to wait? A white one? No. I don't see race. I don't see it. I don't see it. That's what you hear at the Republican get-togethers and the I have nothing to see about. You're killing all white people. I don't see race. There's no race here. But they're killing only the white people. What? No, it's just because of some other reason. Killing the white. It just happens to be that they're all white. Because I'm race blind. No, you're just brain dead. You're brain blind, dum-dum. A teacher at the high school, $12 million. $12 million. I mean, when will they have decent reading scores? At 50 million? For Christ's sake. How? There is no way. 12 million. Okay, so we don't end up talking about just the test score or the amount of money invested. What these conservatives would do is they would go to like some Kansas school where people are graduating, reading well beyond a high school level. And they would say, look, they only get 5 million. And then they would say, so it's not a problem there. But then they would say, oh, it's because the Democrat teachers, the Democrat politicians or whatever. You're never going to find your way. At least the Democrats can change their diapers. The Republicans don't wear any because they don't mind being soiled. Quote, our children deserve better, she said. They really do. The teacher told Fox 45's investigative team, because this was a deep investigation, like it would be hard to figure out what's going on. Just like park the street over and watch when school lets out. Project Baltimore on the condition of anonymity. That's because they probably would kill her. As a whole, the system has failed them. Well, that I can agree with you because they're kids and they should have an environment that will teach them the basics and enable them to go as far as their potential will permit. Baltimore City Public Schools told Fox Digital in a statement that 616 of the schools, so they only have 1,000 students. You got to be, somebody do the math right now. $12 million budget with 1,000 students. How many dollars is that per kid? God's sake. Participated in either the math or reading portions of the diagnostic test about 6 days after the school year began. As we previously stated, iReady scores do not provide a complete or final picture of how shitty these students are. City school use iReady to provide checkpoints. Checkpoint. Like you're in 11th grade and you're reading like a 5-year-old. I think some of the checkpoints were missed. Like these don't function like the old like DUI checkpoints, especially down in the South, where they're like drag you out of your car. These checkpoints are like, you good? Okay. This was the first in-person checkpoint for the students after the disruption. For some students, the last in-person experience was in the middle of the school year last year. Patterson High School is the most diverse high school. Patterson, what do we say about the word diverse? It's an anti-white slur. What does it really mean? What does it really mean? It means no white people, right? Patterson High School is, quote, the most diverse high school, close quote, in the Baltimore School District. And then they have a photograph. Let us just say they have a wonderful palette of black. More than 480 students who took the iReady reading test scored at an elementary grade level, including 71 students who were reading at a kindergarten level. Who should I vote for? You can't even read the names. 88 students were reading at a first grade level. Good for them. And 45 students were reading, get this. Now, this is where there's room for optimism. 45 students reading at a second grade level. They'll be voting for Hillary. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see a child that when you talk to them outside of the classroom setting, of what are your dreams. These are some interesting constructions for thoughts. And it's an adult at the school. And they have these amazing dreams and hopes for the future, close quote. The unidentified teacher, wait a second, I don't think a point was made there. I think some of the graduating class become teachers at this high school. The unidentified teacher told Project Baltimore, quote, but then you realize that with the skills that they have, with the level that they're at, they're going to have to work 1,000 times harder to achieve. Our children need a future. And guess what? Hilary is going to be wheeled up and she's going to say, your children need a future. And the reason why your senior who just graduated high school can't read that Johnny has an apple is because white people. And she'll give a little room for the white people voting for Democrats, but it's going to be because of white people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to white erase more of Baltimore. We're going to make sure that there are fewer things that remind these students, this diverse class, the most diverse in all of Baltimore, because there are no white people, or maybe no white people. I don't know. Maybe there's a couple, right? It just means the more, and then they'll reach full diversity when there are none, right? They're going to white erase to change the names of the schools. Shit, they just changed the name of Lee Highway here, right outside Washington, D.C. in Virginia. And it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to change all the signs. Lee, because it's named after Robert E. Lee. So if you change the names and if you on the signs and you put up statues, replace all the white statues and you put up statues of non-white people, and you get rid of everything that reminds you of Western kind and Western civilization, then these folks are going to shine. And the sad truth is, many of them will then. Just get rid of the white people. Then they'll shine. BCPS noted that more than, quote, 40% of participating students were classified as English language learners. And it's kind of what you're doing when you're growing up, right? You're like learning the language that your country uses, and did not receive the accommodations they would receive on state required assessments, such as the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program. Oh, I see. So excuses. Gotcha. And they didn't receive that because white people. Quote, this means they took the test in English despite not having a full command of the language. No shit. That's the problem. Can you believe they just said, these anti-white POSs just said that the reason they did so bad on their reading skills, these American students, the reason they did so bad on their reading is because they're bad at reading. This is what you face in third world countries, folks. This is the kind of logic that you face in third world countries. BCPS's, quote, one fail policy aims to ensure no student is held back more than once before the 9th grade. No, you hold the kid back until they get it so that you have done right by them. You don't move them forward. You're not doing right by these kids if you move them forward when they don't know what they need to know for the next level. You know, the reality is that somebody like me who loves Western kind and is dedicated my entire life to recapturing our destiny, protecting white children from anti-whiteism, freeing Western kind of anti-whiteism so that we can all access the Western spirit inside of us and do things we never thought possible. I would do better by these kids than all of these white-hating POSs, and you know it, and they know it. It would be hard love, but they would know how to read before they went anywhere. What a dumb policy. Students are regularly pushed to the next grade level, even if their learning levels do not catch up at the same pace. Well, what is school? Even if their learning levels, it is sometimes you get to a point where there's such a gap in IQ as well as such a gap in honesty and probity that you cannot communicate. It's like trying to talk to a completely different species. You just can't communicate. I mean, I feel like I can get along better with the neighbor's dog. Like the neighbor's dog gets what I say. If I say sit, the dog sits. If I wrote sit, they would be like, what? I wonder, now I'm going to do this test. I wonder if I write sit, if the dog will sit. That would be something. We got smart kids and bright kids. I didn't make it up. That's how some adult is talking there. We got smart and bright kids. I mean, these kids aren't failing because they can't do it. No, actually, that is exactly why they're failing, dumbass. Oh, this is Marvin Lee, a former Baltimore City school teacher. Let's see what he said. Maybe he's actually a good guy, but he's starting off like in a really bad place. They're failing because they know they can. That's the We got to jump, but we got smart and bright kids. I mean, these kids aren't failing because they can't do it. They're failing because they know they can. Will somebody like play the Benny Hill music at this point? Marvin Lee, a former Baltimore City school teacher, and I'm sure a teaching award winner in that environment. The school district said Patterson High School is allocating, what did we say about the anti-whites with the money thing? More money. The school district said Patterson High School is allocating $70,000 to purchase a reading intervention program called Read, targeting 9th grade students who read below a 6th grade level. That's right, nearly almost all of them. The school will also create 11 sections of new reading classes. Now, of course, this time is going to be at the expense of things like government, biology, earth science. How about just some of those skills they might need when they get out of school, like auto mechanic, etc. How about those things? How about mathematics? They're going to concentrate just on reading so that they can pass these tests in the future. What happens when the math test comes around? They're going to create 11 sections of new reading classes, use a new intervention tool, quote, 3 times weekly, targeting reading fluency and reading stamina for the first 15 minutes of class, and provides reading stamina. I bet they got plenty stamina in other areas of their lives. Plenty. And yet they can't read. And provide students with new software to practice reading at home. I'm sure they will be practicing reading at home rather than using their stamina elsewhere. And with that, we will be right back.
There is no excellence where there is equality.
For every diversity hire,
there is a diversity fire.
It is not the similarities that make us the same.
It is the differences that make us different.
The truth is hate
to those who hate the truth.
Atonement cannot be made for a grievance never committed.
Hollywood isn't history.
In a world of collectivism,
individualism is suicide.
There is no Western civilization without Western kind.
And we are back, and hopefully the mic continues to work wonderfully. It is so fantastic to be with everybody. We'll take a look at everything that you are saying right now. How is everybody doing over there on D Live? And can you still hear me okay? Let's see. I see Autorox is over there. Sterling Prize. Misty, hello to all of you. And great to see you. And we'll take a quick look over here at Odyssey. And who is over there? Western Renaissance. Hello to you. And thank you for reaching out, saying that the mic had gone dead again. And let's see. North, we'll say Rich. How's that sound? And that person is asking the question and misrepresenting me about whether or not I told folks to call the police department or what have you if someone is talking about committing a mass murder. And the answer is yes. In fact, old school, it really is surprising. So many guys don't know that in the old days, before the internet was strong, before it was anything like it is today, we had to meet in person all the time. And because there were so many fraudulent arrests, so many entrapments that you couldn't do anything about, saying it's entrapment didn't matter. Because there were so many, folks would show up, they would be narcs, they would be undercover cops, they would have built long reputations. You can look back and see that these people spent years in the white sympathetic sphere. They would show up at meetings and then suggest some form of criminality. And as a consequence, people who didn't want to go to jail for the rest of their lives, or essentially the rest of their lives. I mean, you take out like 10 years from your life, it's just like you've really wrecked your life, right? And then of course, longer, worse. But what we ended up doing is we developed an immune system. And so when someone would show up and say, hey, and then suggest a crime, and not even what like I was suggesting, and this poor misguided fellow, and I'll mention this really quickly. I want to keep moving tonight, but because I got the book to work on, I got other things to do, the audio book. But having said that, we developed an immune system so that if somebody suggested committing any kind of crime, we said, okay, that was your one chance. Never suggest any criminality again, or you're not allowed back. And so that's how we stayed out of jail. That's how it became increasingly difficult for whoever these people were, whatever. CNN has the bottom line on this, but that's how we ended up staying out of jail. Now, when someone commits a mass murder, when they murder innocent people, or even just a couple innocent people, supposedly for the good of Western, it's not for the good of Western kind at all. In fact, it redounds to our great harm. And not turning these people in then is to be for the great harm that is done to us after some psycho person commits some sort of horrible atrocity on innocent people of all backgrounds. It doesn't matter what their background is. What ends up happening to Western kind is that there is always follows one of these things, a massive wave of new laws that are passed to further restrict our ability to gather, to talk about ourselves and what's happening to us. So censoring us, there's this massive way. The laws that were already prepared then have the justification in the intensity of the moment to get passed where they otherwise wouldn't be passed. People get arrested all over the globe. And of course, there are two things. One thing that happens simultaneously, and then one thing that happens subsequently. And that is that you have a justifying of the anti-white narrative when these sickos commit an atrocity, don't you? Because then they say, the folks out in the real world say, oh, I've seen 10,000 of these atrocities in fiction, and now it has happened in the real world. So ergo, those 10,000 fictional atrocities are real. That's really happening. So you've just confirmed for all the people who already hate us to continue hating us, to be even more fervent in the things they do to us, the harm they do to us. You've just also crippled the folks who would have considered standing up for themselves and Western kind, and the non-white people who would have stood with us. You've just absolutely paralyzed them. They're not going to stand with us. And all these white, ordinary people with normal sensibilities, they're not going to stand up and say enough is enough if some psychotic white person goes and murders a bunch of innocent non-white people. Of course they're not. And then, of course, the subsequent thing is that there are tens of millions of rapes, of assaults, of disfigurements, of gang rapes, of maimings, of murders, of etc. that anti-whites of all backgrounds say when they're at that bar, when they're at that house party, when they're at that college party, when they're driving down the road, when it's like that mayor up in New York and the things he said, they say to themselves, I'm justified in raping that white girl over there because that psycho just murdered a bunch of innocent of my people. And so that is what you do. That is what you cause when you don't turn someone in who is seriously talking about committing some sort of atrocity. Now, if somebody is just being stupid and they have no self-control, then you say to them, hey, shut up. Don't say anything like that again. That's the worst thing you could possibly even think about. Get smart or you never get to talk to me anymore. And you break the relationship off if they're not going to get smart. If the person is serious, pick that phone up instantly and turn them into law enforcement. Absolutely. For the good of our people. Pick the phone up, call law enforcement for the good of our people and to save lives of whoever that psycho would have gone out and harmed. Thank you for that opportunity to speak to that once again. I love it. I love being able to speak to it. Clarify. Folks, get out your raucous emojis. Dude Bro Moment is showing that on Valentine's Day, he is full of love. $50 financial gift. 50. $50 financial gift. God bless you, brother. That is absolutely magnificent. Thank you so very much. What a true champion. And he writes here with that $50 for White Wellbeing. Amen to that. You have the great Yiz, the Unifier, coming in with $10 financial gift. Thank you, sister. And she writes, working hard all night for Sports Ball Sunday, I bet. So won't be here tonight. But the anti-whites and their godless event can't keep me from folk tithing Kip. Well, thank you so much, sister. I really appreciate that. You're one, you know it. You're one of our, everyone knows it. You're one of our absolute best. And we prize you and make as much dough as you can off of all of these fools drooling over sports ball. Piers Taylor, another great champion from down under, financially gifting $10 hopping dollars. God bless you, brother. Saying everything he needs to say with those $10 on this Valentine's Day. It is Valentine's Day in Australia. We still have to wait until tomorrow. The great, the one and only, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bloom has shown. There's the Roy Danton. Look at that champion is here as well. Great to see you, brother. I was just thinking about you yesterday. I was like, where's Roy been? All right. So Mr. Bloom, $10 financial gift. Thank you, brother. Writes, hello, Jason. I hope you and everyone in the chat are doing well. I'm not sure if you are aware, but the Thoreau documentary about AF is now out. Would you consider reacting to it? I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. And I can tell you now that the term anti-white is used in amen. That is fantastic. Yeah, I could react. Where is it out? Did you send me a link on maybe Skype? Yeah, I could react to it. I mean, I might not do it on YouTube because, it just, for me, everybody else can like do these reaction videos. I know that if I did it, they would storm through the door with their metal masks on, thankfully, because they're hideous, and drag me away and destroy all this work. Mr. Bloom comes back with another $5 financial gift. Thank you, good brother. And he writes here, also, brother, just to let you know, I have left you some information on Skype regarding 3 different situations. Please get back to me in your own time. Well, I will make a note to myself right now. And thank you so much. Thank you very much, brother. Happy Valentine's Day. $15 financial gifts. Thank you. And we also have over there on Odyssey, Maxine Waters is here. And so is Question Everything. Great to see you both. All right. Just making sure everything's running smoothly over there, and it does appear to be the case. Let me check. The documentary is on the BBC site. Okay. We'll have to check it out there, folks. And has anybody financially gifted on Cash App? Is it working? Because if you have, it's not working for me, at least yet. But we will try to keep the lines open. Oh, looks like it's about to work. It is working. It's blank, so I didn't miss anybody, so that's good. Let me check out the live chat over here on YouTube and say hello to the champions that we have, and keep peeking over here and making sure the microphone is working. And ultra testosterone. That's what my doctor told me. Great to see you, brother. Samantha's with us. Hello. She says, that's the manliest attempt at decorating I've ever seen. That's because I'm going to be the manliest man you'll ever meet. Johnny Ray, hello to you and welcome. Anglo-Saxon is with us. Hello. Yeah, that was Fornall. Who were you doing that song with? So that we can get that person some applause. White Step. That was a great song. Simon is with us. Great to see you. Hyperborean Dream. Welcome, welcome. And let's see. The great Jerome V is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you, dear brother. And let's see. Summer Lee is here. Hello. Haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you back. And sliding. Remember, tag me as No White Guilt on all of these platforms so that it will light up for me. And the conspiracy against my eyes, initiated by the monitor and printer makers, will be undermined. Pearl Lady says, don't you know it's just the white man holding this school back from achieving? Well, according to the anti-white narrative, yeah, hello to you and well said. Yeah, according to the anti-white narrative, you could talk to any anti-white and they would tell you, and any villainy signaling vague out there, and they will tell you the reason why these kids are doing bad at that school is because of the white race, because of Western civilization, without question. That's why we don't debate them. And can anybody guess what a Republican in office would say? Not one of the good people who would vote for a Republican, but what a Republican in office would say. Let me slide through here. Biospirit of the West says, doesn't think that Baltimore could get any more white erased. Well, maybe yes, but maybe they'd have to go to something like grass huts or something. Which is not to say that couldn't happen. I mean, I live near there. So it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. All right. Electric dog. Electric. How many people know that down home here, there are a lot of folks who refer to the electricity as electric? Hamilton, hello to you and welcome. Streaky Bacon. Looks like YouTube for me is starting to work a little better, moving the live chat than it has been the last few times. It's not perfect yet, but they're working on it. They've got like these little hamsters running their legs off because it's progress. That's why they call themselves progressive. What else do we have here? King Elvis is with us and sliding right along. Rick is here. Hello. White Calling, hello to you. And Jim, welcome. Gizzy, is that what I saw? Gizzy? Jay is here. Says the mic is wrong. Is the mic wrong? Am I coming through the wrong mic? If it changed. Mic a little funky. Not bad, but not as good as before. Well, thank you for that. We'll take a look. I have no idea. I mean, it's either the people working. Well, it's the same, but I'll just reinitiate and see if it improves. Did it improve any? Is it the same? Let me know. Thank you for mentioning that, Jay, and for Noel. Amber Lynn, hello to you and welcome. Oh, wait, it's good now. All right, got better before I even addressed it. Promethean Healing, welcome on this Valentine's Day. I think I'm going to pull one of these roses forward. We're going to get into the Going Free lesson of the day. Here's Coconut. Hello to you and welcome. Haven't seen you in a while either. Colonel is here. Hello. Fernald says it's fine now. Lady of Ireland says, I am in entropy. Some questions over there, I think. There's Popcorn Power. Great to see you. All right. Let's do, that means I can hopefully move things back, and they will. Got to be so careful these days with the microphone and all the electricity. Let me show you all one of these roses. You're going to love this. Let's grab this one. Let's see. Take a look at the petals. That's something, isn't it? Quite pretty. Let's get into these Going Free lesson of the day, and I will address your questions and comments as we roll along. How does that sound, friends, on this Valentine's Day? As folks out there are getting ready to root for their favorite black athletes that will soon be out on the field, or if they are already, I don't know, perhaps. Antiwhitism in Private Industry and Associations. This is second edition, iteration 2, page 67. Art is Life says, beautiful roses. Well, thank you so much. There's no white guilt clips. Antiwhitism pervades all areas of our lives. Our workplace and social networks exhibit some of the harshest anti-whitism. You know what I should do? Is I should do this and then grab my glasses. Although, I won't be surprised if the audio goes again. It goes fuzzy or goes weird or whatever it does. Let's see. Is it still okay? Is the audio still okay? Let's continue. Well, now the chair won't slide across the floor. Maybe I'll just sit over on the other side of the room and I'll yell at the microphone. Anti-whitism pervades all areas of our lives. Our workplace and social networks exhibit some of the harshest anti-whitism. In these places, forced diversity and sensitivity training white guilt and indoctrinate Westmen, anti-white tribunals are held and social lynchings are perpetrated. Remember, we had the question recently about going to have some of these forced diversity trainings, these anti-white obedience trainings. And, it would be fabulous to be able to talk about the anti-white tribunals and social lynchings in those conversations. Quote, diversity and sensitivity training, close quote, programs are becoming ubiquitous in workplaces, schools, and social organizations across the Western world. These programs largely consist of browbeating and intimidating Westmen while indulging and pampering non-white people. And it's important to note that the indulging and the pampering of these folks is not for their own good. It's used to harm white people. If you indulge, then you have to take something from someone to indulge. So it's not for their benefit. So that don't complain about that. We focus on us and how we are being harmed, right? How many of you out there have had to recently go through some anti-white obedience training for school, for work, for your church, whatever it might be? Likewise, anti-white tribunals are now part of the human resource departments of most organizations. Anti-white tribunals are the meetings or hearings wherein bias incidents or claims of racism are adjudicated. Right? So, I mean, this is so oppressive, and this is one of the ways that white people suffer, that anti-whites mock. So white people live our whole lives. A non-white person can say, my ancestors suffered at some point in the past, whether it's real or fictional or whatever it might be. My ancestors suffered, so I deserve all this preferential treatment and special privileges. White people are actually suffering now, living white people who did nothing, not the fiction, not anything real, nothing. And they're suffering now. What are they suffering with? Well, they're suffering, among many other things, with the fear of being dragged before these anti-white tribunals just because we say something that is at variance with anti-whiteism. Could you imagine having a non-white race? Imagine the tears that would be shed from a Republican if there was a non-white race that had to suffer with the fear of just saying maybe the little bit of wrong thing and that offends white people, and then dragged before some tribunal that is going to determine whether or not they get to work in the industry they've been trained for, in the industry that they're paying off their student loans for, in the industry that enables them to pay for their health care and their car payment and the mortgage payment and the kids' dentist payment and the food they have to get for the kids and everything else. Could you imagine the tears that the Republican legislators would shed? You do it to white kids, and the Republicans in office, I'm race blind. And isn't that sickening? These people should be slapped right in the face. You know what should happen? I'm not advocating this. I'm just, as a stand-up comedian, as the hat I'm wearing at the moment, as a stand-up comedian, if older women were to go up to elected representatives, Republicans, if they went up to them, maybe under the pretense of saying, oh, it's so wonderful that you're race blind, go up to them and say, you being race blind when it comes to the victimization of white people is repulsive, and then maybe slap them hard as hell. That would be funny. It would be good for stand-up comedian material, but don't do it. No one do that. Okay, so in these hearings, Westmen are interrogated, terrorized, humiliated, and punished for expressing, holding opinions at variance with anti-whiteism, or merely refusing to express agreement with anti-whiteism. Right? You can be called into these anti-white tribunals and socially lynched for merely failing to agree with anti-whiteism. Social lynchings are becoming commonplace. Employees, students, and members of social networks who hold opinions that deviate from anti-whiteism are socially lynched. Now use that verbiage, that we are socially lynched, that we are hauled before anti-white tribunals. Use that verbiage when you talk about these things. Anti-whites zealously attack those who express, even unintentionally, opinions incompatible with the anti-white narrative. These assaults consist of anti-white slurs and economic, social, and psychological attacks. It is really to inflict a great deal of trauma on a human being, to make them so afraid of the things that they say in their life. And you know this, white people are the only ones in Western civilization. Maybe if you go to, like, I don't know, maybe in Iran, if you want to say something at odds with the leadership there, you've got to lean over and whisper it. But white people in Western civilization, we're the only ones who there are opinions at odds that we might hold that are at odds with the anti-white narrative, that when we say it, so many of us, because of the ramifications, because of the life-destroying, character-assassinating ramifications, we'll be talking at a normal, you see it all the time, we're talking at a normal volume, and then all of a sudden it's like, but you really know. And you're like, well, wait, speak up. I've worked manual labor jobs with big machines and hammers. I can't hear. Speak up. And then they're like, are you crazy? Our lives will get ruined. But anti-whites everywhere, they love that. They love it. Republican elected officials, what scum they are. What scum. They love it. They're fine with that. They see this happening to white people. And then what do they say? They pivot away from the strength to maximum weakness. That's what Republicans do in office. They pivot away from maximum strength to maximum weakness. Attacking white people because they're white. White people can't even share their opinions that are at variance with the anti-white narrative, and a Republican will start talking about freedom of speech for everyone. What if a black person wants to say something, is what a Republican would then say. Are you going to fire some black person? We got to change this system. I'm telling you, I will have some good stand-up comedian material if some of these POSs get a good hard slap across the face. That's what they deserve. White women, maybe older white women with some intestinal fortitude, go up and just, if they do this, don't do this though. But if they do this, they go up and they say, you know what, it is really disgusting that white people are attacked at school and at work, and you say nothing about it. Smack. You better believe if this were happening the other way around, the women and the men there, they'd be slapping some politicians, wouldn't they? They would be slapping them. They wouldn't be able to go out anywhere. They would be slapping them. Social lynchings often result in alienation from family and friends. It can also mean a loss of employment and all of the associated losses, such as a loss of health insurance, one's ability to pay mortgage, auto, food, electricity payments, etc. Thankfully, the verbal framework of Going Free wards against social lynching, as well as providing appropriate responses to it. This increasingly complex and multifaceted system of engineering submission to anti-whiteism is designed to deter and punish dissent. In addition to these systemic anti-white techniques, there are a great many specific actions taken within the private sphere that undermine Western kind. And I'll just maybe read a couple here. Hiring, acceptance, and promotion policies that humiliate, demoralize, and exclude Westmen by discriminating against them to satisfy anti-white goals, such as racial quotas and diversification objectives. School boards and parent-teacher organizations that advocate the replacement of Western heroes and the celebration of Western accomplishments with often dubious non-white and anti-white, both white and non-white, heroes and accomplishments. So there are many, many more. The religious organization or pastor who demoralizes and deceives his white congregants by preaching meme pathogens as the word of God. You all have seen it. So these are anti-whiteism in your workplaces, your social organizations. That's on page 67. And let me take a quick look, and we will keep you all engaged as much as possible before we get to the next two little bits of the lesson of the day. We have the great Rory Herbert financially gifting $5, a true champion in service to white well-being. He writes here, with $5 financial gift, a term, quote, a city on a hill is generally attributed to my distant cousin, John Withrop, who used it in a sermon on board his ship in 1630 to describe the expectation that the Massachusetts Bay Colony would shine like an example to the world. Wow. Now I'm going to tell you this. We have Rory here, and there are some others who have written and have shared the fact that they have relatives, like direct relatives, that are very famous, very bright champions in service to our people throughout time, whether they were articulating that they were championing our people or not, by being who and what they were. So we have really special folks of whether they are related to high achievers or not. We have a slew of people related to very famous, not celebrities, but real thinkers and warriors and doers and leaders. And that is, Rory is among them. He's a great gentleman. And thank you, good sir. It's great to see you. Thank you for that $5 financial gift. And we have Lady of Ireland over here. And in the question widget, she writes, what do you think about the term Euro mixing? And I ask because a lot of relic nationalists say says that she's Euro mixing because her husband is a Southern European. Well, we've addressed this before. Basically, the biospirit of Western civilization is witnessed, is provable by the projection of that biospirit. We see it where it lands on our environment. That's what demonstrates that we are a single people, even though we create various hues of Western civilization. There's no one else who creates Western civilization. That's how we know that this people who has a variety of appearances that can all very easily be defined as white or Westman, Western kind. That's how they all produce Western civilization. Wherever we go, Western civilization. No one else has ever done it throughout history, which is not to say that other peoples haven't come into the West and given to the West their best, and their contributions have been wonderful. It is to say, though, that there's only one people who create Western civilization, and that's us. So we do have varieties in this wonderful race, more variety than you see in other races, which is not to say that they are any less. It's just to say that it's one of the many differences. There's no cosmic metric for measuring the different races and saying that one is better than another. Having said that, with these varieties, you have sometimes these folks who will say, well, then you're mixing if you are a Northern European and you marry and have children with Southern Europeans. Here's the thing. As we recapture our destiny, it presupposes that we are going to embrace all of the hues of our peoplehood. And that means preserve all of the hues of our peoplehood. Will people of one hue of Western civilization marry and have beautiful, wonderful children, Western children? Yeah, that'll happen. But what will also be true is that we will, all of us, whether a lady like yourself, who is more of Northern European extraction, and marrying and having beautiful, wonderful Western children with a gentleman of Southern European extraction, you and your husband would want to preserve both of those varieties of our peoplehood. And so that's the beauty of white well-being, is that it presupposes, if we're going to move forward, any objection to the preservation and, in fact, the deepening of that beauty immediately outs the person as somebody who is not in service to white well-being. Because if there's something that's true about doing good by anybody or anything for that matter, it's the preservation of that which is there. So it is not to be in any way a negative. And it sounds like that's what somebody is saying to you. It is indeed to say that there'll be folks who do this, and there'll be other folks who make sure that Northern European and the countries there, the physical appearance, but also the texture of Western civilization as it's manifested by the people who live there on that specific environment endures and becomes more beautiful throughout eternity. So thank you very much for the question. And thank you, Rory. Let me have a quick look over here and make sure that we're blank. And I will take a look here. Pearl Lady asks over here on YouTube, would you consider having Mark Dice on your channel? Without question. If he would come on tap with Mr. George and I, that would be beyond amazing. We will have him. Or if he's only got like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, he can come on going free for 2 minutes. Be happy to have him. Jilly is here. Great to see you. And Master Fountain, I think is what it said. Hello to you. See if you have any more questions. It is a humiliation ritual that Jack points out. That's exactly what it is. And Republicans would not permit this to happen to any other race. They are fine with it happening to white people. There isn't a single Republican in office that will get on an interview with the media and say, this can't happen to white people another day. I'm putting my foot down. No more white people will be ritualistically humiliated this way. They just won't do it. They'll talk about any other race. And when it comes to white people being victimized, suddenly they go colorblind. Brain blind. I said that earlier. I like that. All right, looks like we're doing, is the vase, Coconut says the vase looks orange on her. It's supposed to look, maybe it's orange because of its white background. I think it's red, unless maybe I'm going colorblind. I hope that's not happening. Vincent is here. Hello and welcome. And yes, Julie, we absolutely will have Jerome back as a guest without question. And we have, of course, coming up the 4th anniversary, the 4th birthday of TAP. Make sure you don't miss it. And that will be this coming Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be glorious. Has anybody tried to financially gift on Cash App? Could someone, maybe for Null, do you still have that? Could someone financially gift $1 just to see if it's working, to see if they're not kicking me off another program, another Zoe is here. Hello and welcome. Another platform preventing us from growing. We'll see. I don't see any tags over here on these platforms, but it's great to see you all. And hello. We will continue as we are nearing the top of the hour. I suddenly can't see when I do that. 10.5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. This was in the title of today's gathering, Maturing Socio-Politically. This is a meme curative. And so these are what we use in our conversations. And we can use against anti-whites. We can use against vagues. You can use with yourself. Maturing Socio-Politically. By going free, and this is on page 140, second edition, iteration 2. By going free, you are maturing socio-politically. And don't we see that? Don't you see that in yourself? Speak up if you see that in yourself. Don't you see, you can look back on yourself before you came to White Wellbeing. You began implementing the method, the strategy of going free. And you look back, and many people say this, that they are surprised at how immature they were prior to this practice, how narrow their view was, how easily they were being manipulated by the anti-whites. And many of them, because of it, become just magnificent champions for our people. They look back, they see how they were manipulated, and that is one of the surest ways to piss off a good person. You know, it's like that somebody comes, they bamboozle you for the price or the pool they're going to put in or whatever it is at your house, whatever you can afford, right? Or you need the new HVAC system. And they come in and they say, well, it's this, that, and the other thing, bing. And they give you pay for it. And then you find out, holy God, I paid a third more, 20% more, 25% more, 40% more. You're pissed, right? And you're getting right onto that review website or websites, and you're writing down how awful these people are. That's the quickest way to piss off a good person. So these people, they look back and they say, my gosh, I was like a child in the woods, and I was being misled by these malefactors, these anti-white malefactors. And then they get active because of it. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. There's nothing to be ashamed about. You were born into this. We were all born into it. How do you know? How could you know any different? Nothing to be ashamed of. You are reclaiming your life. You're doing the right thing. Get happy, get angry, get passionate, get bold, get creative. Do what men of the West, and by that I mean men and women, do what men of the West have always done. We create, we conquer. How many diseases have we conquered? How many water shortages have we conquered? How many of those things that sought domination over us have we conquered? All those who move toward white well-being from one socio-political concept to the next are maturing socio-politically. By helping others to go free, we are helping them to mature socio-politically. So keep that meme curative in your head to use with yourself, with others, your coworkers, your family members. Maybe you'll be talking to them tonight during the Stupid Bowl that is, I think, already started. And here we have another very important one. Anger, defense, etc., is a virtue when it protects the innocent. So anger is a virtue when it protects the innocent. Defense is a virtue when it protects the innocent. You can fit this in anywhere. This is important. This is a very important meme curative because there are a lot of anti-white arguments, and perhaps some of you can share some of the ones that have been used on you to shut you down in the past, where this meme curative would have instead empowered you and shut down the anti-white or just the vague, that's villainy signaling. So let's have a look at this. This is on page 142. Often, anti-whites undermine white well-being advocates by using reverse psychology. They accuse you of being angry, hateful, or fearful, and they explicitly or implicitly offer to withdraw the accusation if you embrace anti-whiteism. You know you've fallen for that a time or two. I have, we all have. Rather than fall for their trap, respond by stating that anger is a virtue when it protects the innocent. Now, I'm going to point out here, though, if you're going to use this, don't be like frothing, loony, angry. You need to be, especially for men, you need to be able to do damage, but in complete control. I am able to do massive damage just in a fight, just in hands, but and not including all of the tools of defense. But I fully control it. I'm in total control of myself. That is one of the great, I guess, one of the great, I guess I could just say, ways that you can identify, a great identifier maybe is a way to say it, of a real man. He's not just a joker. He's able to defend when he has to defend, and he's able to do it in an effective way. Not everybody's, going to be like a great with their fists or whatever. You don't want to end up looking like this, because to get good with your fists, you got to look like this, and you definitely don't want that. But you want to be able to defend yourself, to do damage to those who want to do damage to you, and yet in total control. So you don't walk around the house like shouting like a madman or a mad woman. Instead, you control it, and you know when somebody's pissed, right? So you're in complete control of it. That's what I'm talking about here. And the anti-whites, you don't have to be, and you know this, you don't have to be shouting for them to say, "You are so angry." They'll just say that because they have learned by way of entertainment media, just like you have learned, that they can stomp you into the ground rhetorically that way. All right. When they say that you are afraid or hateful of a degenerate lifestyle, or that you are afraid or hateful of non-white immigrants, you say that you are a defender of white well-being, and that defense is a virtue when it protects the innocent. I actually saw, you got to be careful because the ear is against the door, but I actually saw an anti-white claiming that that a person was immoral for objecting to a lifestyle that every single person, well, not just a life, not a lifestyle, a sexual attraction that every single sane person is disgusted by. I'm not going to say this in connection to the actual attraction in connection to saying everybody's disgusted by it, because some very wonderful people at YouTube, who knows, maybe that's their attraction. So we will leave it at that. But you can add in these conversations with anti-whites or vagues or potential people who come over, whatever it might be. You can add to them that you are doing the moral thing. You are doing the honorable thing by getting angry about those who want to hurt and harm, victimize the innocent. Tell them this. They are the ones who are being immoral. They are the ones who are being ignoble. They are the ones who are being cowards. Make sure that you always, and this sets you up to be able to do this, make sure you always articulate yourself, our argument, from our story, not inside their story. And when you do that, folks, you're doing what is in line with your true intent of your heart, your spirit, and you're doing exactly what will enable us to recapture our destiny. And we'll be right back.
Exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Okay, we're back and the mic seems to be working. We're at the announcements portion of the gathering, and I have something very, it's very sad to start off with the announcements section, and that is that many of us know who Donald Kent is, and he is a musician in the white sympathetic sphere, an artist, graphic artist, and his mother has been, for the past couple of months, struggling with COVID pneumonia. And just several days ago, she wasn't going to come out of it. She wasn't going to recover. And Donald had to make the very difficult decision to take his mother off of life support and hold her as she drifted off and her spirit left her body. If you know Donald, if you know of his Twitter account, maybe we can share that in the live chat. If you could send him your condolences on the loss of his mother. And it's a very tough time for him right now, having to make that decision. And send him your prayers and positive energy. That was Donald Kent. Let's see, we have over here some graphics also that I wanted to share. This going free. Let's see, are they up? Or did I have them up yet or not? Oh yeah, well, we'll start off with this one. Why not? Guess what, folks? A Promethean space saga is coming to your world very, very soon. In fact, on February 18th, you don't want to miss it. And the great For Null is going to make sure that the link and the info, whatever it might be that you need to be able to be there when For Null's epic album is going to be released. He's making it available and to folks on the 18th of February, and really looking forward to that. Very excited about that. A Promethean space saga. And I can't show this because I know that the wonderful people at YouTube would immediately end the stream. I can't show the video, but I can play the audio. So let me see if you all can hear this. I better keep an eye on the microphone. Okay. So we'll see if you all can hear this. This is For Null. And if you all don't know, For Null has I think 26 children, and he's announcing to them that the album is coming out. Listen to this.
February 18th, my new album comes out, A Promethean Space Saga. Yeah! All right, you guys, I'm excited too. Yes! All right.
Yes, that's the Promethean Space Saga, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody is so excited about the Promethean Space Saga. Make sure you don't miss it. I'm excited. I know you all are going to be excited too. It's going to be epic. We'll have a party over on Tap, and we'll do a bunch of fun things. So that is the one and only For Null. I wanted to also share this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at how wonderful this is. I can't remember who made this. Are you in the live chat if you made this? America is not for anti-whites. Isn't that lovely? NoWhiteGuilt.org. We'll have to get this up. Is it already up? I don't know. But a big thank you for whoever created this. It's really a heck of a lot of fun. And look at those beautiful little children. You know who would run from this quicker than guess? I want to see some guesses. Who would run from this group of white children celebrating one of the expressions of our heritage? That's right. Republicans in office. They would run like hell. That is beautiful. And I had another one, I think. No, maybe not. I'll have to check and see if I can find the others, but I think that might be it for now. Oh, no, there is another one that's pretty funny. All right, that was Mr. V. Let's get a round of Raucous emojis for Mr. V. And then there was, because Mr. V, there's just nothing he can't do. And he's just always doing for white well-being. What a true champion. We'll check this one out too. Look at this. Of course, Friedrich Nietzsche agrees with me. Who made that one? That's fantastic. What else do we have here? All right, I did want to mention my friend Elliot Germain and his books. I think, yes, right here. You can check them out right there. That was also, by the way, folks, another Mr. V creation, the one with Friedrich Nietzsche. So, yeah, more raucous applause for the great and one and only Mr. V. What an epic hero. So these are the books, Relevant World History, Volume 1, Volume 2. And Elliot has informed me that because of the influx of he's apparently not had many international orders before, but had quite a few international orders over at lulu.com. Is that what it is? And lulu.com/shop. And you can type in the name of the book or the name of the author there. And you can find these books at lulu.com. Elliot has lowered the price over at Lulu for international orders. So if you are interested in that, he has lowered the price for international orders. And he has also, you can still get both of these books directly from Elliot Germain by sending, I wouldn't send cash, but you could send a check or a money order, and you make that check or money order out to AOCP, which I believe was the American Organization for Cultural Peace, P.O. Box 464, Hanover, Virginia, 23069. And he takes care of the shipping. It is $70 for the pair. When you go over to Lulu, I think they have their own shipping little widget. But when you write directly to Elliot, you will pay $70. You can also, looks like you can buy directly from him just one volume at a time. But that is at a cost of $38. So you could write, say you just want volume 1 or volume 2. I guess you could read about them on Lulu. And you send him then $38. And you can get a single volume. He has also written many other books. And when you write him, you can ask about those other books. He's written Transfer of Power, The War of 1861. He's written The War Between the States and the Undefeated Southern Truth. He also has T-School DVDs when he used to be way back in the day on television in Richmond, Virginia. It's like I said, this guy has been a warrior for our people forever. And these are some very big, these are some prodigious books. And I have one right here. You can see the size of these books and the writing. So he's done a massive amount of research, many years researching. And you might not agree with everything, but you might find some things in here that you find very interesting. I don't get anything for sharing the work of this wonderful individual. Let's see. He's got these observations and axioms in the back. And here's one of them. So he wrote all of these. Very bright man. He wrote, a living constitution usually results in dying principles. A living constitution usually results in dying principles. Smart guy, very witty, and lucky to have him on our side. You will find in the description of this video the link to the Telegram group for the general white well-being community. Now, you can follow that link and you can become a part of that community. But here's the thing. You're not going to be able to take with you all of these old senescent arguments of the past and then use them. All of these old strategies and think, well, if we somehow vaguely all agree on white people not being white erased, then basically we're all the same. No, we do something very different in service to white well-being. Maybe what you're doing in your approach is going to end up working well for you or working well for all of us somewhere else some other time. But the White Wellbeing chat group is for those who are practicing go free of the anti-white narrative, which means it's a completely revolutionary approach to the well-being of white people. We focus on ourselves. We don't doom document and doom dissect. We only mention things that are harmful for us in order to share the concepts that empower us, that put us in our story. So go over there with an open mind, and you can disagree, and you can decide never to go back. But that's up to you. And if you decide to disagree and never go back, then best to you. And I hope you have success. And but if you decide to stay, then please remain with an open mind. The folks there will say, we don't, for example, they will say, like, we don't focus on some other group and hating on some other group or naming some other group and talking about some other group all day long. That's not the substance of what we do here. We're not hypocrites. We don't want to be hated on the basis of how we're born. We're focused on protecting us, and ultimately, by protecting us against the aggression of all anti-whites, then we are protecting ourselves against anyone that you would object to. And you'll find, I know from experience, you'll find that focusing with love on ourselves is far more empowering than focusing elsewhere. You'll also learn quite a little bit about whether or not it is advantageous to try to threaten the anti-white oligarchs with these shows of farce, because they're not shows of force. So there's quite another path to walk, and we invite you to have a look, tread down that path a little ways, and if it doesn't work for you, so be it. But please don't go in there with the intent of trying to argue one of the other vehicles, of trying to change minds, of trying to get people to go another direction rather than the practice of going free. Because this is where it's so very difficult. We need to have a place where we are bouncing our story off of each other all the time so that we live in it and can speak it smoothly with everybody around us. Because outside of our story is the anti-white narrative. And everyone else is living in it, and it's bouncing off of them all of the time. And you can't walk like a foot half in the anti-white world and half in the white well-being. Just ask. Just ask. I mean, Carlisle, what did you? She was with some people that are more establishment political types, and then she ended up using one of their words, very harmful to us. And so it happens. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You've got to be all in to our story, because if you're not, then you're gonna be derailed, and your growth is just never going to happen. So if you're with people and they're talking about how anti-whites are liberals or something like this, you have to tell them, no, they're anti-white. That's what they are. There's nothing liberal about them. I used to say for many years, I liberally will eat things I like. I liberally will share advice. So in that sense, that would make me a liberal. No, these people are anti-white. They hate white people. And they on various levels, and they want to cause us harm. So we need these places like the White Wellbeing chat to just live in our story and to talk about things from our perspective, because there's no way we're going to be able to bounce back and forth, if that makes sense. So everybody is welcome. Please check it out. Please be respectful. And then if it doesn't work for you, so long. Auf Wiedersehen. Have you seen the epic video, cartoon video made by Naderific and others? I don't have the names of the other people. If Naderific is here, perhaps he can tell you who these folks are, who worked on this cartoon called The Julians. And I finally got some opportunity, some time to watch it. Technically, this is the first day that I have woke up without being, I mean, I guess there's still maybe a hint, but without being sick. But I finally got some time to watch The Julians, and don't let your kids watch. It's an entirely different take on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I was impressed. And so you can find that over on their Odyssey channel. And I don't have that on the tip of my tongue right now, but perhaps somebody does, and they can mention the name of it. And we had Nathaniel was on, so maybe he knows the name of the Odyssey channel. Check it out. Send him a message. Give him some love. Tell him it's magnificent. And definitely wasn't free to make it. So it's a very interesting take, and I think a way that we can really retake our world by addressing some of these stories that ultimately were intended and are twisted, if they're not intended from the beginning, to harm us. And so please take a look at that. Very excited about the work being done there. Now, the mailbag. What do we have in the mail? Oh my gosh, take a look at this. I have not had an opportunity to go through all of these different things. I did see we have one item from the mailbag. Actually, you know what? Maybe it's so cool what Elaine did. I think I will, I'm going to read some of the comments, and we're going to get ready to take some calls. And then I will get to Elaine's mail that she sent. It's so beautiful. It's so lovely. And so that's what we'll do first. Let me see what you all are saying right now. We have over here on Entropy, Midnight Sun. Midnight Sun, financially gifting $25. And there's Carlisle right there saying, Jason's right. It's very difficult to do both. Yeah, you can't go. It's so important. And I think it's probably a subject that I should address more often. You're not going to be able to say, build up your acumen with white well-being and the concepts, etc., in one place. But then when you go over to the friend's house, or you go over to the neighbor's house, or you go to work, or you go to wherever, and if they're calling the anti-whites progressives, then you just like, yeah, they're progressives, and do that. You're not going to be able to do it. You grew up in that anti-white narrative. You have no hope of being able to do both. So the only choice you have, if you want to grow, if you want to access your true physical, mental, spiritual potential, you want to help us recapture our destiny, you want to improve things for white babies, conditions for our seniors, you want to make our Valentine's days, every successive Valentine's Day in the future, better than the one before, you're going to have to speak up with our concepts. It's one of the best ways to practice service to white well-being and your ability to align with the archetype of Western kind, which is inside of you. And you can't access it because of these ideas, because of these concepts, mean pathogens that the anti-whites give us. You can't access it. So if they say progressive, you say, oh, okay, you mean the anti-whites. Okay, please proceed. I mean, you could do it in a nice way. But think about it this way. If they are forcing you to listen to progressive or liberal, they're shoving that down your throat. They're smacking you in the face with it. So I've never felt bad about saying to a vague or anybody out there, oh, you mean anti-whites? Okay, go ahead, please. They're beating me up with their detrimental language. So if they can beat me up with their detrimental language, well, I'm definitely going to defend myself with a beneficial language. For God's sakes. I had a few times where people said, oh, I know, okay. And I said, well, no, not okay. Because you're hitting me with this garbage. So I'm going to push back at you. I'm not saying you can't use that garbage that's harmful to you. I'm just saying I'm not going to have it. So if you got to defend yourself, defend yourself. Midnight Sun, financially gifting $25. Let's get a round of raucous emojis because the $20 limit has been reached for the raucous emojis. $20 is the limit. $25, though, for Midnight Sun. Great name. Anti-whites have stolen my home. Whoa, hold on. Anti-whites have stolen my home and frozen my bank accounts. I have overcome this the best I could, however. I am not ready just yet for a full testimonial. One day I will be. Thanks for the strength you've provided me throughout the years. My goodness. Midnight Sun, you could jump into the question widget, and if you are open to sharing, when did this happen? And thank you so very much for sharing with us that we have helped you. We have helped to give you the strength and the concepts with which to think so that you can speak in your own defense and our people. So when did this happen? When did they steal your home and freeze your bank accounts? I've known people, folks, who taking these other vehicles, and it's why I've been so animated in the past, and I'm going to try not to get so angry maybe in the future when these folks are leading people down paths where I know that people's lives get ruined. And I'm just going to try to speak to it in a maybe I need to borrow some robes or something from Groundhog Fury. I sit on top of a mountain's top, but I'm going to speak to these people in a way that I hope will be they'll be more receptive to. But the bottom line is that I've seen over the years folks follow paths, get involved in vehicles for ostensibly our people's good, and they lose everything. Their lives are destroyed. And sometimes they commit suicide. So I see this kind of thing too regularly. So you have here, Midnight Sun says, it was 5 years ago that the house was taken away and the bank accounts frozen. So looking forward, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Looking forward to in the future when you put together a testimonial, and I will share that. And we thank you deeply. And I'm very sorry you had to go through that. If it's, for because of facing off against the anti-whites and just being white or whatever it is, but very delighted that we could help give you strength in recovering from having your home stolen from you and your bank accounts frozen. Nathaniel Nelson says the Yulians can be found on the Westman Media channel on Odyssey. Thank you so much, good brother, for jumping in. A champion there, Nathaniel, folks. This guy's active. He's making stuff happen. We have wizards in the background, genuine wizards. And this guy is one of them. One of the best, too, at that. Thanks for the strength you provided me throughout the years, writes Midnight Sun. Well, you are so very welcome. You don't see those kind of words coming from many other places, do you? Well, you've been telling me about how bad it is for us. Thanks so much for the strength. You've been doom documenting for years now. Thanks so much for making my life hell. All right. Looks like Cash App is working, and thank you to everyone. There's Patrick of Southtown with little wizards showing up. Yes, indeed. Looks like no white guilt clips. Answering the call right away, quick on the trigger. And $1 financial gift. Thank you, brother. It is working. We also have the great 4-0, quick on the trigger as well. Says the testing, he writes there, with a $5 financial gift. Thank you, brother. And the great Sloths as well, all true champions. Talk about a horse race. Sloths with $5 financial gift for the same. Thank you, brother. Thank you, all three of you. Real champions. Like I'm like, could somebody do? And all of a sudden, it's just like machine gun of roses. And I would like to thank, so that I don't forget, the great 4-0 who helped with the epic flag that you are seeing behind you. Which has a heart around yours truly. But let's get a round of emojis, raucous emojis for the great 4-0, who was the one who helped make this flag possible. We have here a testimonial from Mike, and he wrote this on Twitter. He writes, I jumped in and out of your show tonight. Have to say, your passion is damn contagious. I bought your book, Go Free, the other day and read straight through it. Amazing work, exclamation point. It's more than just a good read. It's a great guidebook, and I've already referred to it several times. The next day, I took your advice and started practicing what I learned. For one, because I was still on a high from reading it, and for two, I figured if I waited, I might lose the fire I had built up. I ended up seeing a discussion here on Twitter where a white guy was attacking a white woman by calling her weak and clueless because she was standing up for Western culture. That was all I needed. That was the opening, the time to put this going free approach to the test. I used your suggestions found in the MPMC as a guide. So stop right there. Where else have you? And I realized that the proof of concept, it's been going on for so many years with the work that we're doing here. And there are people who accept and people who don't accept proof of concept because it doesn't match their villain narrative and the anti-white narrative. But for all of those who are new, I want you to focus on this magnificent testimonial of Mike on Twitter. And he's saying he saw this conversation. He immediately picked up the guidebook, Go Free, looked through it. And this is how we reclaim our destiny. This is how we do it. It's not these other paths. Now, if somebody somehow finds a way to make these other paths work, then so be it, as long as it comports with my morality, whatever they end up doing. So be it. That'd be great. If it comports with my morality, that'd be great. But as we wait for somebody to somehow make one of these other failing strategies, vehicles, approaches, ideologies, etc. work, we have something that works. A practice called going free. And here's somebody, he reads straight through the whole book, immediately jumps online, finds a conversation taking place on Twitter, picks up the manual, looks through, what do I say here? How can I respond? I used your suggestions found in the MP meme pathogen, MC meme curative as a guide. Basically, I disagreed with him, supported her, and called him out on pandering. It was fun. There was another going free guy in the debate. So we sort of tag teamed this other guy. But here's where it gets good, writes Mike. When my tag team partner decided he'd had enough, he ended it with telling the guy why he'd been pushing so hard, and that was that he saw potential in him. I did the same, though differently. Now, I figured that was the end. This guy was lost, not coming around. But no, he actually said, quote, "Y'all have a good point." Close quote. So I'll wrap the story up by saying I had a blast practicing being forceful without being a total ass, and then seemingly giving this guy something to think about. Like you said, it works. I'm sold, brother! Exclamation point. I'm sold, brother! Exclamation point. It works. Proof of concept again and again and again and again. Lives changed. When he said he was able to be forceful without being an ass, what does that tell you? That in the past, in order to stand up for our people, he had to be an ass. He behaved like an ass. Then that's okay, because this is a movement of redemption. We're coming back to a place where we can do good for our people. Jilly writes here, and this was under my video with the flag that I played at the beginning as well. This will go down as the most clever stunt in PWR history. Jason's manner goes from cool and collected to a thunderclap of vibrant comedy. Mark's face went from a state of stupor to a jolt of jolliness. Vince can't stop belly laughing. The name's boss. And I said it earlier, the name's boss. I like that. Master Fountain writes here, LOL, it's epic when this guy goes off about anti-whites. Thank you, brother. That's I think one of the first comments from you that I've seen, and I wanted to share. The great Irish Ice, a true champion, writes here, last night while commuting, I educated a middle-aged Westman who was down on his luck about the concept of the biospirit. He told me he felt inspired, and it was, quote, a very good thing, because he was thinking about jumping off a bridge. Understanding the biospirit concept clears up a lifetime of confusion and frustration for our people. Do not be silent on this matter. Do not be an inactive coward. Take what we've learned with Jason and apply it wherever and whenever you can. White well-being advocates save lives. And let's get a round of raucous emojis for Irish Ice. If somebody tells you that they were thinking of jumping off of a bridge, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were going to do it that day, obviously. But that is somebody who is thinking about, telling a stranger, that is somebody who's thinking life's not worth living. That person was on the path, doesn't mean that they're going to get there, but was on the path to putting an end to their life. Irish Ice might very well have saved, and this wouldn't be the first time for Irish Ice, saved someone's life by reaching out to this stranger in a safe way, a safe place. If you're a woman, it might not be always the same scenario where you can just talk to a stranger. You got to be careful. But Irish Ice could take care of himself. Tough guy. Reached out to somebody down, and I could tell it's down and out. Explain the biospirit. What part of that conversation do you think really was taken up by that guy who was thinking about suicide? I'm willing to bet, realizing that he has this great people inside of him, this great potential inside of him that he can access, that he can work on. With all of these people, with the 9 people that have come forward live in these gatherings and said that they were going to commit suicide. Some of them said they had a day selected and had written the note. What we did for them was we enabled them to see the beauty and the strength and the power in themselves, and then they saved themselves from suicide. That's what we need to be doing. And I want you to think about this too before getting on to the last couple here and then the mail and your call. So if you want to call, I know Mr. V will want to call. He's ready. And we haven't had him for a while, so we're going to have Mr. V up, the great champ. And we're going to be wrapping up a little early because I got some things I want to work on. But how many times have you heard in other threads, in other groups, and etc. How many times have you seen folks mock the concept of the biospirit? How many times? I've seen it a lot. I've seen them mock it a lot. Mocking something that saves our people's lives. How disgusting is that? How absolutely repulsive is that? You're not going to be able to tell the guy who's down and out on the train that he has, you know, you have the blood, and use this World War II lingo, and then name some ancient group in there, that you're going to be triggering all of the anti-white narrative in him. And it doesn't even come close to meaning the same thing that the biospirit does. It's not even a fraction, even what's good of it. The part that's good of that sort of verbiage and doesn't mean something quite ugly, that's only a tiny fraction of what biospirit encapsulates. How many times have you seen people mock that? And then you see folks like Irish Ice potentially saving lives with it. Well done, brother. Thank you. Odin Sire writes here, most of the NS people who are attacking you, Jason, are not even real NS. And I believe that's true too. Thank you for that. A lot of crypto anti-whites showing up, building up reputations as NS, and then they go on the slander and the attack. Pat Man writes here, so true, Jason. Republicans really think they can, quote, own the libs by lauding the idols of their oppression. The great Dr. Slattery has also mentioned this. Beautifully said, written, Pat Man. That's absolutely the case. They think that they can own them. They think that they can defeat them. They think that they can circumvent them by saying, we are dearer and more profound worshipers of your concepts, of your anti-white morality, of your leaders, etc. They think that they can somehow beat them that way because somehow they'll get some permission, validation, or approval from the anti-white oligarchs. But it never works. And the fact that they keep doing it demonstrates that they are functionally comatose. Tetsu writes here, another Sunday, another great stream. Thank you for never quitting, Jason. People might not recognize it yet, but you are what our people need most. Well, I appreciate that, and I accept that compliment on behalf of all of us, including you. We are what our people need, without question. We are change agents, unlike Hilary, which is a change your diaper agent. The great Reptile writes here, we are the bringers of a Western sunrise. We are the love that lifts it to the sky. We carry light to those trapped in darkness, shoulder to shoulder, side by side. That is so beautifully written. Reptile is something else, isn't he? God bless you, Reptile. That is beautifully written. And wasn't that what Irish Ice did? Folks, we are living, if you choose to be in our story, you choose to be an advocate for white well-being, you are living in the story of a hero rather than playing a video game to be in the story of a hero or sitting through a 2-hour movie to be in the story of a hero. You're living it. You are living it. Reptile just wrote a verse that applied to actual acts of our people. Magnificent. Sterling Price writes here, at about the 2:06 mark, Jason is talking about winning and learning. That's it. Always stay in the mindset of white well-being. Always remember that you are winning. Always learning. Even if we get it wrong at times, that's okay, because we're always moving forward. We are honing our skills and getting sharper, better, more concise. I got to tell you, it ain't easy, especially considering that we're all coming from different places and different points of our lives, but we're all going to the same place. Not to sound too corny or anything, but the mountain in the distance is getting closer. I live and breathe for this. As I've gotten older and now look upon the faces of my little grandchildren, I feel a sense of urgency. They have been born into a time of ravenous wolves, and it's my duty, our duty, to secure their future, to keep them safe from the wolves. For the sake of our innocent white children and grandchildren, we must march on. Righteousness is on our side, and the anti-whites have no answer for it because they know it's true. They know they're wrong. Even in their hatred, they know they're wrong and that we are right. We will force them to their knees, kicking and scratching and hissing in their hatred. But to their knees they shall go. I feel better every time I write this stuff down. Be well, friends. Sterling. Well, God bless you. That was magnificent. I really liked that. Are we not changing everything? You know, the biggest change is not what you see when you go to downtown and you see a sign maybe change, or you see a sign of the reverse of white erasure happens. A sign goes up with Sterling's name on it. That's not the biggest change. Biggest change happens right here. When men and women of the West make the decision to be in our story and to recapture our destiny. These are the words of the folks that are doing it. There are just a time lapse between when the change in the world has happened and when everybody else figures out it happened. A brilliant writer as well here, Nan Perel, Lovely Porridge. We'll take a very short break. We'll do the mailbag and take any calls, and then we're going to get out of here. Happy Valentine's Day to you champions. Lovely Porridge writes, conspiracy theories seem to be gaining enormous popularity as a result of distrust in the media. They offer information that you could never get from mainstream sources. But how do they get this info? They cut it from whole cloth, yet speak authoritatively with total confidence. Bob the landscaper claims to know the specifics of what oligarchs are planning in top secret meetings, and people believe Bob 100%. Bob then expands on his lie, creating an intricate web. And so if you ask one of these people for proof of their claims, they're totally dumbfounded because it was all built on Bob's original lie, which they never questioned. It's unfalsifiable. They make predictions, and when they fail to come true, they claim that the elites had to change their plans because it was exposed by Bob the landscaper. When people follow these theories, they discredit everything they say. That's why I want them to stay away from white positive advocacy. Yeah, if you're a conspiracy nut, you're going to say these things. You're not going to do it. You got to give it up. You got to give it up. Lovely Porridge goes on. You're telling us to toughen up. And here he's speaking to Bess, who's best at nothing but being anti-white. He writes, so you're telling us to toughen up because you intend to insult or victimize us. You would never tell a black person to toughen up in any context. The truth is, you don't want white people to be tough. You want them to be sick, submissive, and self-hating. But I am tough enough to reject white guilt and defend my people from your anti-whiteism. Can you handle that? And then he wraps it up with this. Prepping doesn't have to consume your life. Fill an icebox with non-perishable food, a storage tub with medical supplies, a cash box with precious items, and a bag with clothes. Do it all in 1 week, then store it away, and then get on with your life. If you want to go further, learn some homeschooling skills, gardening, home repairs, preserving. Those things will improve your life, whether or not there is a shit hits the fan scenario. But many preppers also spend hours excitedly consuming doom documenting. I suspect that they feel powerless in this world, but I imagine themselves, I'm sorry, let me read that again. I suspect they feel them powerless in this world, but imagine themselves as kings after the world collapses. It never happens, though, so they remain bitter and powerless. And with that, we'll be right back.
Exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Drowning in the argument, the anti-white says, what exactly is anti-white? You have got to be animated with the righteous passion of reclaiming our destiny. We are the heroes of this era. And it looks like it's still working. So we will move to the wonderful, look at this, Elaine Sabatino in the mail has sent these beautiful little, I mean, just like a slew of these wonderful little, and stickers. Let's get a big raucous round of emojis for this wonderful lady. I mean, there are a bunch of these things that are beautiful. They could be hung play, and I'm going to be hanging them up. Isn't that lovely? Lots of stickers. This is what it, look at, how could you not know that it's all based in love with all the hearts? Now, she's also made here, she said this cute little no white guilt paperweight as well. Thank you. And she's also got a machine so that she can do this with wood. She makes these beautiful edges now. Look at this. NoWhiteGuilt.org there. Go free. It's a talented lady, huh? Look at that little heart has wings on it. It's going to fly. And then she's made this. Look at this. This is something. Both sides as well. Isn't that lovely? Look at that. Go free. That's beautiful. A verb. It's an act. You've got to stick with it your whole life, like working out and eating right. And she sends a card as well. And I'm going to be careful because I have not had a quick look at it yet. But it is to me and Carlisle. And take a look at this. My goodness. Look at this card. Is that going in and out of focus? It's all got like these candy hearts. I've never eaten. I've never been a candy eater, but I think I may have tasted one of these things before, being thrown into violent seizures or something. But they have writing on them. Too cute and sweetie pie and hug me and sweet and be mine. All of these cute. Maybe I need my glasses on. I'm not going to read the next one. Let me see. This says, Dear Jason and Carlisle, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for all you do for our people. Love, Elaine. Get a big raucous round of emojis for this wonderful lady. Is she with us? Elaine, are you here? Can I read? Oh, she is here. Happy Valentine's Day. Can I read from the printout that you sent as well? Let me know if I can read from the printout you sent, and I will very quickly refresh here. Okay, we didn't miss anybody over there on Cash App. Thankfully, it's working though, and we'll get a look at entropy, and we have the one and only Promethean promulgation, ladies and gentlemen. Great champion. Great to see you on this Valentine's Day. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. He's financially gifting $10. Thank you. He writes, I didn't watch the Super Bowl after the last one was so anti-white. I've never watched one anyway, but I'm looking forward saying that all day tomorrow. Amen. Amen. Yes, it's too anti-white to watch. I understand. A lot of people are getting away from watching sports altogether because it's just so darn anti-white. Elaine says, sure. All right. Ghost Rider is here. Hey, the great Brand Danger is here, saving the lives of our babies. He is right at the forefront. He has the anti-whites coming down on him and the great work that he's doing. Show some love to the great Brand Danger, a true champion. Thank you, brother, for everything you're doing. Absolutely in the right place. See, it looks like his little hearts that he shared for Elaine Sabatino are like actual human hearts. And so that's a little macabre, but it's okay. That's a little. All right. And this is wonderful. There are little heart stickers all over this too. This is wonderful. Dear Jason and Carlisle, happy Valentine's Day. I can't tell you how happy I am for both of you without jumping for joy, she writes. Mrs. Jess Horst and I had a hunch that Carlisle is the girlfriend Jason has been talking about, and thankfully, we were right. I hope you two are still on the mend after your recent bouts with the flu. The White Wellbeing community needs you. I've been using Jason's lexicon every chance I get, and it works beautifully. Mark Dice has been on fire, and the comments section on his videos are even more inspiring than his stellar content. That would be fantastic if you and Jared could get Mark to appear as a guest on tap. The fact that the anti-whites are doubling down on their propaganda proves your lexicon is working. Our lexicon is working. Since both white and non-white people with normal sensibilities can relate to your message of love and redemption. I've even used the 5 key concepts with the employees at government offices when applying for benefits, and it leaves them speechless. I refuse to argue within their anti-white narrative. I turned 60 in May. Happy birthday. And the Housing Authority sent me an application for low-income housing for seniors in non-white neighborhoods. And I told them I would be at risk of becoming a victim of interracial violence at one of those facilities, since non-whites have been indoctrinated to believe my people are inherently evil and privileged, even when we are poor. I told them if they really cared about our homeless population, they would stop facilitating white erasure via mass non-white immigration. A non-white, anti-white employee at the Senior Network Service in Santa Cruz assured me I would never become a minority in that city because our town is 73.5% white. I told her it's obvious that they're keeping track of white erasure, and so am I. Since our town was 90% white when I moved here in 2000. I also told her I'm more concerned about future generations of white children becoming disenfranchised when they grow up as a detested minority in their once safe neighborhoods. Then I am about my own, or I'm more worried about them than I am about my own white well-being. Since 2017, I've been complaining to counselors, doctors, nurses, and psychiatrists at the county clinic about my harrowing experience with racially motivated attacks, but nobody cares because I'm white. And my stories blow their anti-white narrative out of the window. The same goes for my elderly mom, who died in 2015 at age 90. She was abused by anti-white, non-white caregivers in 2 new nursing homes. But the nurses just moved these predators to another floor or denied the abuse was racially motivated. I've also asked the anti-whites who staff these organizations why they aren't hiring any white people, and they treat me like I'm a mass murderer. I've been using your phrase, hush crimes, when I talk about interracial violence, and that leaves the anti-whites speechless. I know we shouldn't focus too much on these negative aspects because I don't want to be erased by any non-white group, even if they're statistically less violent than whites. However, racially motivated attacks and anti-white sentiment toward our men are what woke me up to the institutionalized anti-whiteism. White women are paired with non-white men in nearly every advertisement, assuming there are any white actors at all. Mark Dice has done a fabulous job of calling out white erasure at every level, and the good folks in the comments section, both white and non-white, share our sentiments. There's a sea change ahead, and I'm happy to be a member of the white positive sphere. We are turning back the anti-white tide, one meme curative at a time. Cheers to white well-being. I can't wait for the Going Free Valentine's Day stream. Fondly, Elaine. Let me see. And she adds a little something else here. Beautifully written. Let's get a big raucous round of emojis for this wonderful, wonderful champion in service to white well-being. She purchased a circuit die cutting machine and can't wait to make professional looking signs and heat transfer vinyl. I can make custom pot holders, towels, etc. for White Wellbeing. I'm learning the software, and I'm going to cut out a flower out of a cardstock for my first project. How beautiful is that? We have folks, I tell you what, one of them, a great example is here. Elaine is a great example. Groundhog Fury is a great example. People who don't know about how to operate a software, don't know how to operate a machine, but they educate themselves in it so that they can give that time, give that ingenuity and intelligence to the service of White Wellbeing, to our people. And that's a marvelous thing. God bless you. God, that is so magnificent. I don't know what that is. Thank you so very much. And I thank you on Carlisle's behalf as well. Thank you so much. Let's take a quick call from, folks, the one and only, you know him well, Mr. Say it with me, Mr. V.
Hey, brother, how's it going?
Oh, it's wonderful, man. Happy Valentine's Day to you. What's on your mind?
Thank you, brother. Happy Valentine's Day to you. And I was actually just finishing an image for Valentine's Day with the website. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after the call.
Okay.
Yeah, brother, I wanted to quickly get the updates going, make sure everyone knows what GFC they can join.
Okay.
And to encourage people to join GFCs, because these things aren't going to happen unless people join in. And the faster you join, the faster we can get this exponential growth going, and we can have going free businesses. We can have people getting together, more, families, which means more white babies.
Yeah.
Since it is Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really is dependent on everyone joining in. And just today, brother, actually, let me send you, before I get to the emails and everything and the GFCs, let me just quickly send you, because we're already past, already halfway through past the halfway point in the Go Free book. So in the GFC book club, we're going to be finishing the book quite soon, and then we're going to move on to Prometheus Rising. So I encourage people, if you're leading a GFC and you haven't started the book club yet, get on that. Once a week, if you can't do it once a week, if you're too busy, totally understandable, do it twice a week, but pick a time so that you can build up that consistency and that momentum. And, you as the GFC leader, you're going to be hosting the book club unless someone has more experience and they would like to volunteer to host the book club. Make sure that you're asking questions and that you're making it interactive. Just today with my GFC, we went on for almost 5 hours.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was like 12 minutes before Go Free started. So we went till 4:48 and we started at 12. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and we share, the interactive segments with each other. We come up with MCs. We talk and we figure things out, and it's extremely helpful. I had done this kind of stuff with a Going Free friend before, but doing it with a group is amazing. Yeah. It's just incredible. So I highly recommend, if you're leading a GFC, get your book club going. It's a great way to get people involved. Also to make sure people don't forget that they're in the GFC. Get them going. Starting a book club will open up the path for other things as well. So highly recommend you get one started. Give me a quick moment, brother, and I will get to you the links, and I will access my files here, and I will get to you the emails for everyone's GFC. For my GFC, that's gofreeclub@protonmail.com, and we take people from Ontario, Canada, but also internationally. If you would like to join the online portion, that's gofreeclub@protonmail.com. And if you're a GFC leader or you want to start a GFC and you need help, I'll help you. Just contact me and I will get you into a group with other GFC leaders as well.
That is fantastic. Now you're going to share the contact information for the other GFC leaders, right?
Oh, precisely.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, here's another thing. If you have a GFC and you want me to plug your GFC during these calls, please let me know. Email me once again at gofreeclub@protonmail.com, and I will make sure that I always mention whenever we call. I couldn't do so last time because I had another call, as I usually do, at 9 p.m., but this time I have more time, so I can get to everyone's GFC. So, Anglo America's GFC, located in Minnesota, that's GFC of the U.S. Midwest @protonmail.com. All lowercase. That's a big one, so I'll repeat it. Anglo America's GFC for the Midwest. It's GFC of the U.S. Midwest @protonmail.com. Patrick of Southtown, California GFC. The email for that is california.gfc@gmail.com. And if you're in California, you know how white a race that is. You have no excuse not to join Patrick's GFC. You should be getting on it right now. So that's california.gfc@gmail.com. Like comedies, all the way in the frozen north in Norway. The email for his GFC, the Norwegian GFC, is ngfc@protonmail.com. So N as in Norway, then gfc@protonmail.com. Iberian writer, he takes peoples from Southern Europe and diaspora. So if you're Iberian or Iberian diaspora, if you're Italian or Italian diaspora, etc., he takes people from Southern Europe and Southern European diaspora, regardless of where you are in the world. So Iberian Writer's GFC is iberianwriter@protonmail.com. You can contact him there. Once again, that's iberianwriter@protonmail.com. Franklin Peanuts GFC for Virginia. It's virginiagfc@protonmail.com. Once again, virginiagfc@protonmail.com. And then the last GFC that I have, and it is the newest one, is No White Guilt Clips, the New England GFC. And you can contact him through email at newenglandgfc@gmail.com. That is newenglandgfc@gmail.com. Cannot stress enough how important it is for us to get these Going Free clubs started. We have a limited time window to recapture the destiny of our people. You've got to get active. I know you guys are in these states. I know you guys are in these countries. If you're not, if there is no GFC near you, contact me. I'll, find a way to get you either into my GFC or another GFC or the GFC that is closest to you. Or if you want to start a GFC, I'll help you get one started. I'll let you know what platforms you can use that are safe. I'll let you know what the vetting procedure is. Of course, I'll have to, talk to you and get to know you a bit, know that you're not an anti-white subversive, etc. And thus far, I've spoken to every single GFC leader whose email I've plugged. So I've vetted them as well, because I want to make sure that not only are there no anti-white subversives, I want to make sure that all the GFC leaders are good quality people. So, brother, I would recommend every single one of those GFCs for people.
That is absolutely magnificent. And I want to get a real big round of raucous emojis for all of the hard work that you are doing, Mr. V, in service to white well-being, organizing the GFCs, helping people to get started on these things is just something that is beyond my ability at the moment and in the time we have to thank you for. It is really a magnificent service. This year, 2022, is the year that the GFCs, the Going Free clubs, were planned, and they're coming together beautifully because, and folks, asked me, how are you going to, you're doing so much when you get to this stage in the OE, how are you going to also manage these groups, and how's this going to happen? And I've reminded them about Cologne Cathedral and how it always inspired me that our people set to work on a vision for which the knowledge of how to complete it and the people to complete it didn't yet exist. In fact, they were generations away, and yet they got started to work on Cologne Cathedral. And I understand that there were gaps in the building of it, but I think it was roughly like 800 years in the building. But the truth is that they knew when they got started, when they had their grand vision, that they did not have the knowledge of how to build what they wanted to see. But they trusted that as time rolled by, our people would produce the artisans and the geniuses, that they would step forward, they would experiment, they would achieve, they would train, and they would come to the work of Cologne Cathedral, and that mighty structure would be finished. That vision would be realized for our people, even though those who had started it had long since gone to dust in their graves. And that's what I tell. I said, brilliant, industrious, genius, courageous folks, tenacious folks will come along, and they will be the right ones for the job. So they said, well, I hope you're right. And thank God I was. Mr. V is a great example, and so many others. You folks, and I'm sorry, we really just, I'm not going to be able to take any more calls because I have a call that I have to take for the audio book coming up here. We'll have to wrap up here in a moment. But people often, or how they always get together in the white sympathetic spheres, they decide they're going to start a group. And then they say, well, we need some name and body to fill this position, and we need some name and body to fill that position. And then they run down this as though they are children figuring out how their treehouse fort is going to operate and their imaginary army is going to work. They do it all the time. It's quite natural for people to do this. You never know if you have the right person for the job. There certainly isn't time right now to explain this, but the way the economy works, why an open economy is so superior to a totally managed economy, is because the ability to pick or even find the best person, trend, etc., is infinitely beyond human capacity. So the 201 IQ to this is to create the circumstances for which the best will make themselves known. And that's what we have when it comes to School of the West with Brand Danger, For Null. That's what we have here at Mr. V and all of these No White Guilt clips, all of the Patrick of Southtown, all these wonderful folks stepping up and taking the bull by the horns. And in the end, we'll know who was absolutely the right man and the right woman for the job, because they will be there with the laurel of victory on their heads. Final words to you tonight, good brother.
I totally agree, brother. Yeah, that is the way. People in the white sympathetic sphere underestimate us. They don't understand how motivated people are, and can't forget to thank a huge thank you. And they're listening right now. I'm sure they are, or they'll be listening to this later on. Huge thank you to every single member of my GFC. These are top quality people, and we've got one lady so far. We'll get more, but most of us are guys, and these are top quality guys. These are men who truly love our people, and they're all very, very dedicated. So I'm attracting very good men, very high quality people to the GFC, and I think, of course, that's all thanks to the great work that you're doing, brother. We attract the best people. We absolutely attract the best people. The quality is astounding. And I would suggest, again, to everyone who has yet to join the GFC, what have you got to lose? Nothing. You've got absolutely everything to gain. You determine the amount of involvement. If you can only spare 1 hour, let it be 1 hour a week, if that's all that you can spare. But get involved. We have got to build communities. Get involved. Get into a GFC. If you don't know if there's a GFC near you, just email me, and if there isn't one, I'll keep you updated, let you know when there is, or I'll help you create one. And if you would like to join a GFC, also of course keep in touch with the Going Free stream. I'll do my best to call in and let you know anytime there's a new GFC and give out the emails for all of the current GFCs. One final thing.
Yep.
Hate hoax is spreading, brother. Anti-Whiteism is spreading. I saw Keith Woods made a post using anti-Whiteism.
Wow.
Jared Taylor on one of his videos titled it Hate Hoax. Andrew Joyce wrote an article called Anatomy of the Hate Hoax.
Wow.
So it is spreading. And also I have an image update to give to you, brother. So I'll post, I sent you an image before. I want to send an updated version of that.
Okay.
And I'll also send you the Valentine's Day No White Guilt poster, which if you don't mind waiting, I believe I can do that real fast right now.
Okay.
And if you like it, you can.
No, just go. Yeah, go ahead and go for it, and I'll just speak. I see that Sloths has financially gifted $1, and over here on Cash App, and he is advising me to take a look over at Odyssey. I will do that, and let me see 1 second. We have over here on Odyssey, looks like a couple of 2 library token financial gifts by the one and only Sloths, ladies and gentlemen. And he writes with 5 library tokens. Thank you so much, dear brother. He writes the ant gnats, which of course, folks, who are also what cult gnats they were named. So the ant gnats are acted, he says, acted like soy-faced idiots when you said anti-white Jews on PWR, even frustratingly saying, quote, it's redundant, close quote. It just goes to show how ignorant they are about going free. Well, exactly, because there are anti-white people of every immutable characteristic. There are people who are not anti-white, just sort of neutral out there of every immutable characteristic. And there are people of, without doubt, of every immutable characteristic that want to preserve Western civilization and will happily stand beside us to put down anti-whiteism. Sloths financially gifts with another 5 library tokens. Thank you, brother. And he says here, saying it's redundant is not only denying the harm by non-Jewish people against our people, but it's tying our race's well-being to the status of another people entirely. This is why white negativity fails. Beautifully written, very insightful. You're absolutely right, brother. And it looks like I have the poster here, and I will clip it and prepare to show it here. Your final words, Mr. V.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you taking the call. By the way, I missed a previous call that you made. My apologies. Internet cut out. We got just a massive snowstorm over here. It was absolutely huge. Snow was stacked the next day, so my internet kept cutting out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I bet it was. No worries whatsoever, man. I could only imagine how bad it gets there.
Yeah, this was some of the worst I've seen in years. But that being said, brother, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you to all our brothers and sisters. And Elaine Sabatino's Arts and Crafts continue to be amazing. Thank you to everybody for everything you do. Promethean Hails.
Promethean Hails, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Isn't that marvelous? And he made this wonderful graphic. Happy Valentine's Day. NoWhiteGuilt.org. Folks, you can grab that off the screen and share it far and wide with your circles of influence. Copy and then trim it on your phone or your desktop or whatever it might be, your laptop, and share it. Hope you will. This was another service by the great Mr. V, and all of the different work that he does for our people, a really beautiful thing that we are deeply grateful for. Let's get that camera back on. We got to wrap up. I'm sorry. We'll get your calls. If we missed you this time, your first next time. And let's make sure I didn't miss anybody on Entropy. Good. It looks blank here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody on Odyssey. And R. Madden over there says, respect you, Jason, brother. Well, a big respect you as well, brother. Thank you very much for that. And make sure that we are okay over on D Live. And For the Glory of Christ is over there. And Board Troll, hello to you all. Doesn't look like anybody tagging me with anything specifically, so not missing anything there. I'll swivel around over here, make sure we'll refresh this real quickly. We're going to be stepping out in just a moment. Great Ian T.D. Wilson is with us. Great to see you, brother. And Euro Yankee is with us as well. And let's see. Artificer is with us. Hello and welcome, welcome. Rory Herbert saying Promethean hails. Promethean hails to you. And Master Fountain saying wishes that I would speak at a AF PAC. If they invite me, I'll go speak. Tell them to send out the invitation. I'll happily go and speak to their community. That'd be wonderful. Doesn't look like I've missed any questions. It's been a wonderful gathering, as always. Ladies and gentlemen, when we get together in service of white well-being, all good things come to pass. We are good people doing good things, and we know it. And when you know it, you show it. That's the big difference. It's not about so many folks you know immediately that they don't know what we're doing here because they say, oh, they're all about optics. That's what they're doing. It's just all about optics over there. That's a deep demonstration of their total ignorance of what we do in service to white well-being. This is who, what, and what we truly are. This is who and what we all were in the white sympathetic sphere at that very first moment. We were all pure in our desire to put an end to the victimization of our people. Every single one of us. Even folks that later down the road become monsters. They became that way because that's what the anti-white narrative makes them. It fuels rage, just endless insults and degradation, and then it provides them a behavior and a response for what a real white sympathetic person looks like, talks like, sounds like, thinks like, acts like. And then they head down that path created for them by the very victimizers that they want to prevent from victimizing our people, and ultimately becoming, in some of those cases, especially where they victimize innocent people, becoming the ultimate tool for the anti-whites, the ultimate stooge. All of the subsequent tyranny visited upon us, all of the subsequent rapes that are justified in the heads of anti-whites, the maimings, all of that is laying before them. All that blood, all that innocence lost, all those rights that we've struggled for taken away. That's all they're doing because they have helped to make real in their ignorance what the anti-whites have written into the pages of a very, very ugly story. We are the exact opposite. It takes a lot of passion. And as you can see, it takes endurance that admittedly sometimes, patience is not always, patience is something that I could work more on. It's been many years of arguing with these folks, and I'm definitely not infallible. And I like everybody else, can and will do better, because the bottom line is this is about recapturing our destiny for the good of our people, for the good of the generations yet to come. It's not about anybody's ego. It's not about looking the best or being in charge or never getting anything wrong. It's about love. I invite everybody of all immutable characteristics to join us against the anti-whites on this Valentine's Day, today in one part of the world, tomorrow in the other, to come in love with us, to put an end to the evil of this age that is destroying this civilization that we all have come to love. And with that, I love you all. And as you know, none of us can walk on water, but together we can walk through fire. I love you all. Let's go free.